So you're gonna talk about me to somebody else?
Yeah.
Not to me.
I think you should know that mom changes her mindset. She changes it less from being a mom to being a therapist.
I mean, look at what's happening. Usually around this time of the year, this house is bustling full of people. Relatives I haven't seen since last Christmas, that's when they come around and we get to see each other. When in my family, when you come into the room, you have to give everybody a hug and a kiss. Like, family gatherings is just not even possible right now because that's changed. If you've lost a loved one during the year, like, this is really difficult. Like, you're used to having Aunt so-and-so there and they're not gonna even be around. You can't even call them on the phone. So you really start missing your loved ones. Not to mention people have lost their jobs. People are in a financial crunch. And so that makes things really, really stressful. People are doing things differently than how they used to do it. Now, if you're a person who is dealing with a mental health issue, this sort of change can be really off-putting and it can really set you off. And so in my office, I've been working with people and planning on how to deal with this sort of change. I think the best thing to do is to first just recognize how you feel. You know, just say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Things are different. And a lot of times people, just by talking out your problems, a lot of times just me saying, oh, okay, just me saying that, at the end of the conversation, they'll figure their own problem out on their own and they'll be like, oh, I feel really good now, Doc. Thank you for talking to me for a whole hour. And sometimes I'll just nod because people need an opportunity to vent. They need an opportunity to really get it all out. I think It's a Wonderful Life. It's my favorite. I could watch that movie over and over again. It's just the beauty of it with the angel and the little girl in the end. That's my favorite. So, Taylor, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Santa Baby.
Yes!
Santa Baby with... Oh, okay, we gotta find it. Nicole, what's yours?
The Grinch.
How did I know you would say? Okay. Quincy, I know yours.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Polar Express.
Yes.
I thought you were gonna say it.
No, I wasn't gonna. Oh, you wanna say it together? 3, 2, 1. Polar Express. Let me tell you, that movie came out, Polar Express came out when Quincy was 4 years old. And I was working on my dissertation and he was a real active little kid. And I sat in the bed and I said, I gotta get this paper done. I don't know what to do with this little boy. And I was by myself because my husband at the time traveled for work. And I remember sitting in the bed and Quincy would be up. I popped him popcorn and we watched Polar Express about 2 or 3 times over and over again while I was working on my dissertation. And that is my association with Polar Express. And you couldn't tell Quincy, he was not on that train. He was like, love that movie. I'm pretty much done. I packed a long time ago. I just have to put little stuff together. Boyce will pack the morning of.
But then tells us, oh yeah, you gotta be prepared.
Yeah, but he's good. He has it all in his head, what he needs to bring with him. And then he'll just pack like,
No,
he won't be packed until the next minute he'll be packed.
No, it takes him a little while because we're all outside waiting. And then.
Oh, waiting on him?
You
think that's what's gonna happen tomorrow?
And it always happens.
Me, yeah, I pack at the last minute.
Yep.
But I always get back. You know, I'm pretty packed for this
We're always outside waiting for you, and you're the one who's like, come on, get going, while you're halfway past.
You're right. You got it. Alicia makes me put my clothes away. Being in the house with a woman again is it's like moving back in with my mama. So like weather, I guess, is something where you can sail around it and all that stuff. But it's really kind of a new experience. Like we've never chartered a yacht before, you know, like it's kind of a bougie thing to do. And but we're glad to do it also because you can't take any cruises, and I love going on cruises. You know, but all the cruises ships are shut down, so you know, so this is going to be a new experience. And I don't know, it's just something that I just really wanted to try, and so I'm learning as we go along. My goal is to be an ambitious person, and ambition means that you set goals and you try to accomplish your goals and all the things that matter to you. So what a lot of people do that I think is a terrible mistake is they'll be very ambitious on things that are professional, but they kind of just let their family life kind of have whatever's left over, right? And so the hard part is that after you put all your time into your career and your job, you know, you don't have much left over if you're really ambitious. You leave it all on the floor, so to speak. So what you have to do, in my opinion, is see your whole life as part of your whole master plan, where you are ambitious about all the things that matter to you. So if you have family, you know, you're ambitious about family the same way you're ambitious about your job.
So he's learned to at least tell us, okay, I'm gonna do a lot. So what happened when we were on vacation? We traveled for many hours, you know, and so he's just like, we went and got food or gas or something, and then he said, excuse me everybody, I'm gonna do a podcast. So he'll walk somewhere and then do a podcast, or say something that he needs to say and then post it, and then we'll get in the car and go. So it just takes patience from the kids. It's the lifestyle of an entrepreneur is what the kids have gotten used to.
Okay.
They know that it's flexible enough where he can work from home all day, he can go travel to Colombia or do whatever he wants, but at the same time, it's still like he's always have the mindset of working. And then we'll probably go somewhere out in Miami, and then we're gonna get COVID tests. We're all gonna be tested for COVID, I think. Are we still gonna do that?
I guess we'll take the captains.
Whatever the captain of the yacht tells us.
Is that good?
Yeah, that's
Well, they can
drive in the There have been times at Christmas at Thanksgiving, there'll be a whole house full of people, and we've had to drag him from down here. But he's gotten better. Actually, he's actually very patient with me, because sometimes I'll just come in there and I'll slide him a note and I'll say, end this live now. And he's been really nice. And then he'll just look at me and say, okay, and then he'll try to wrap it up. So I do want to give him credit that he's been pretty good. But there have been times where I have to put my foot down.
Hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And it's Halloween, and I thought that I would just hop in and say hello. Welcome to drboycetv.com. This is a home for intelligent black people, so if you're not black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out.
Oh, he'll do a video while people are here, the whole household full of people. Just like the performance. He was like, you're on my Instagram.
My friend Chris, he was Black Jesus, and he was singing for his wife, and it was awesome. And I put it on my Instagram. You should check it out. You know, I said, look at this, Black Jesus on his knees for a black woman, right? So you got a God bowing to a goddess. Like I just love that. Everybody be going to church. Singing to a black woman, Jesus. Singing to a black woman. Jesus is on his knees for a black woman.
So he would you just never know. Being around Boyce, and anybody who's been around Boyce knows this. You don't know when he'll just start recording. And that is something that he's actually been that way ever since I met him. I've known Boyce almost 30 years. He has 30 years of video recordings.
So this does not make Biden a terrible guy. This is just another piece of information that you can use to make a decision. So I gotta go. I'm about to get out of here. But anyway, the reason I wanted to go live real quick is let you all know that we are gonna do election night coverage. I'm gonna bring in black people from all different backgrounds. We're gonna bring some panelists from the All Black National Convention, and we're gonna have a black party. Take care, and feel free to go to my Instagram if you want to see Black Jesus on his knees singing to a beautiful black woman. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
It snowed on Halloween last year, but that don't stop people from going out. From 4 to probably 4 to 7. It doesn't go, or maybe 4 to 6. It's not going to go very much longer. This is not a lot of. Usually, there's a lot of people out, way more than this. So there's some people staying home, which is fine with me.
The earliest trick-or-treating memory I had when I was it was 1975, I was 4.
You remember that?
I remember it because I remember my mother was pregnant, and she's pregnant Halloween. That's how I figured out, or made the connection about when my mother had the baby and the baby died. Because I was like, if she was pregnant, because my sister was born in September. So why would my mother be pregnant if my sister was born in September? The following.
How long was your mom?
I remember pulling her arm and noticing her stomach was big, and I was like, come on, mama, that's like I wanted her to run, and she couldn't run because she had a big stomach. So Mama was like ready to give birth. Yeah. That was when he didn't make it. Yeah. And so my sister was born about maybe a year, about 11 months later.
Good.
So I guess they must have just got pregnant like right after.
A replacement child.
Really? Is that a thing? That's a therapy thing?
That is a thing, replacement child.
Oh, okay.
The thing is that it just, you have a hole, you have a gap there, emotional need. So you have, usually people do all sorts of things, but having another baby is one of the things to fill that need in.
Wow.
I think it helps you deal with the grief, but then you don't want to put all your hopes and expectations on it. But you come around after a while. I never went trick-or-treating. My mom would drop me off at this church. Me and my friend, we just get dropped off at this church, and then we'd spend hours. I don't know how she knew to pick me up. There was no cell phone, nothing. She would just drop me off at a church, and then I would bob for apples, and they had like little stations. They had a haunted house down there. I don't even know what church it was. And then after a while, I would just look up, and there she was, standing there, and I would be like, okay, I guess it's time to go.
Do you know what time Kristen and Talana gonna get here?
It's 5 o'clock. What time is it?
No, it's like 5:30.
Is that them?
Yeah, that's.
Well, they can come over here.
They can drive in the driveway.
Oh, let's switch it every day.
The reason I wanted to go live real quick is let you all know that we are going to do election night coverage. I'm going to bring in black people from all different backgrounds. We're going to bring some panelists from the All Black National Convention, and we're just going to have a black party. And it's going to be all about the election, about the community, B1 philosophy, and everybody else is giving their spin, so we're going to give ours.
I think Biden's going to win, but it's going to be a contested election. It'll be closer than what people think, though. I think that Trump has more support than people think, but the stock market's pretty smart and objective, and the stock market is actually pricing in a Joe Biden win and possibly a blue wave. The Democrats might actually take the Senate, so it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out. Sometimes I have so much going on in my head, I have to lay it all out there so I can really see visually what the thoughts are, because there's so many things I'm thinking about with this election, but not just with the election, but with where we are in general, like with the black agenda. I believe the black agenda is something that we don't need white people's permission to do that. I think that the black agenda needs to be implemented by black people, and I don't know why that's such a complex idea that we just kind of thought about recently, but I processed that, and that's what I'm going to actually pursue. So the way I see it, black people have already won this election, no matter who the president is.
We really don't need the government. We don't need the help from, any of these political parties to do anything. We could build a virtual community and make millions, across the world because of the access that we have right now. So, I don't believe that they've had an agenda. They're not going to. And once whoever gets elected, let's see what they do, or who's going to hold their feet to the fire.
So let's assume that Biden wins.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna put his feet to the fire? Or are you gonna do what?
Hell yeah. I enjoy, I'm team black people. Every election I'll vote for black people, and that's it. And I'm voting for the black people that want my vote, that are voting for themselves. If you're black and you're voting for white people, then I'm not voting for you. But if you're black and you want the black community to prosper and do better, then we can work together. You know, the three key areas will be like reparations, conversations, mass incarceration, kind of dealing with that, the Biden crime bill, fixing that, and then also businesses. Like we have to get support for the businesses, and then even little basic things like Contract with Black America listings about like home ownership. Like they could easily give some like interest-free loans for Black people that want to buy houses.
It wasn't my idea, it was actually Boyce's idea, so I did not know what to expect. It was something I think that had been on his mind. It was like a seminal trip that he wanted to take. I was a little hesitant because I wasn't sure about what is this, and it's not a cheap trip at all, according to my my view. And I will have to say he was right. Like, it was something that we should have done. I'm so happy we did it. It exceeded my expectations, whatever those were, you know. Like, the chef was there. We had a chef and we had a crew. So the chef cooked all of the meals as exactly how we asked for them to be cooked. The captain took us very interesting places, all of the games and the activities that we did. It was just never boring. It was always interesting. The scenery was just beautiful. Like, I just could have just sat on the yacht and just looked at everything. It went by fast. and the kids had a good time. All of us had a really good time. And I think Boyce kind of had a moment there in reflection mode. There was a really nice picture of both of us on the last night of the yacht, and we were just kind of looking out, watching the sunset. And it was romantic. It was fun. We danced, we partied, we ate good. And it was yet another bonding experience with the family and his sister Tangi.
You know, the flight to Florida was, it was a good flight. It's always chaotic, like traveling with the kids and you know, Alicia and everything. But it was uneventful, you know. And I think traveling during COVID is interesting because we got a lot of flack from her mama about, you know, going down there at this particular time. You know, her mom is not too happy about that. You know, but we went down there. We're not stupid about COVID. You know, we wear our mask. We do what we're supposed to do. We don't go down there just acting a fool or anything. But we felt safe and we had a good time. And the hotel was nice. And so it was like a nice beginning to a trip. I think the thing that was like a point of curiosity for us is that we had never like chartered a boat before.
I took a big step in dental health. I had to go and get some dental work done, and Alicia's been pushing me to do it. It wasn't something I didn't want to do. It was just something I was going to do eventually, but not right away. But she kept pushing me. So I said, okay. Dental health is really important, you know, for your physical health. So I went ahead and just surrendered to the process, and they had to do this oral surgery. And I told them I wanted to get some implants to really tighten up some stuff, and they did. So they put me under, and it turned into like a little bit of a shit show. My blood pressure spiked during the procedure, or like way over 200 or something like that, and that became kind of an issue. And I didn't even know about it until I woke up. So it's literally like 14 hours of being in a dentist chair. It was only supposed to be 7 hours. It was pretty fucking terrible, but you know, but it was almost like, it wasn't, it's like, as I tell the story, it sounds terrible, but going through it, even as I was going through it, I was like, this is really terrible. But it was just like, okay, you know, I'm just here. Like I really I wasn't as uncomfortable as I actually feel like I should have been just describing the story. It sounds terrible, you know, but because they gnawing on your teeth and all that for 14 hours, but it wasn't that bad. It was just like, okay, all right, well, let's do what we gotta do.
I gotta blend my food while I got my dental work going on. It drives me crazy because I want those wings, but that's how I got these shiny teeth.
We had a little issue with his blood pressure. As soon as we put him under, his blood pressure shot up, and they said it went up above 200. And I was like, okay. And they said, we're gonna bring him up. It's gonna take him a while, and then we're gonna finish the rest of it while you were awake.
How long was I under?
So they put you under around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. You did not come to till 1.
Oh, really?
And then they would not let me leave.
What time did they tell you that they had to bring me up?
Probably around 11 or noon.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and so I had to sit there and wait for like an hour or so.
I don't feel any anxiety about that whole, you know, it's like something about dying in your sleep, possibly. Like, I don't want to die. I wouldn't want to die, but it's like it just doesn't. It's like, well, you know.
I wasn't ready for you to go.
I will be.
Hold on, dental surgery that I pushed you into because I was being pushy.
Oh, you were. I told you.
Pushy and I can be sometimes, and so I tell Boyce to just tell me, Alicia, you're being too pushy. We have just started this property search. We have found a builder that's awesome. So we were looking at homes with our realtor, and we knew exactly what we wanted, but we didn't see the house that matched what we wanted. But we found a house that was pretty close, except the neighborhood that it was located in, it wasn't a type of neighborhood. So we reached out to the builder, and we met with the builder yesterday, and we like what we put together.
We should look for a property that's a little easier to work with.
Now our challenge is just to find property. So our realtor found a couple of pieces of property. We're looking for something that's close to water, something scenic. Boyce is a little over the top. So he wants like all this land and this big old house. And me, I'm trying to think like, okay, how are we gonna clean this and heat it and cool it?
We just started and found out that this property that it sucks. It's not a place we're going to build anything. So we're going to look at some other properties, and John is going to work with Carmen. So Carmen, we told Carmen what we wanted, and Carmen's going to pick some stuff out, run it by John. John, will take a look and then let us know if he thinks it'll work. And I told him that I wanted 2 to 4 acres, and because I want some land, and there we go.
I said, Boyce, I am not going to talk to this man about 8,000 square foot house. There's no way. What do we need this house for? Who's going to be living in this house? Now, Boyce has a point because he said that eventually he'd like for our parents to come live in this house and stay with us. That I can wholeheartedly agree with. But other than that, why do we need all this? Now, I will say that Boyce needs a nice office. He does need like a green room studio. It's totally soundproof. He does need that for his business.
Put this shit on the door. So you shut this all the way in. And then, well, how about this? We'll take a look. I mentioned 2 to 4 acres, right? And then we'll take a look, and then we'll look at the price and have a conversation and decide. I want a yard. I want a yard. I don't like this place felt cramped. It felt like there wasn't supposed to be a house back here.
Okay.
You know, and then check this out. I think you said that the front door would have to be most likely facing the water. And didn't you say that's bad for feng shui?
No, that's actually good. You do want water.
Oh, the water shouldn't be in the back of your house.
In the front. Well, yeah, sometimes in the back your chi could run out in the back.
Oh.
But you can put shrubbery to cover it. We went to visit his parents, and we were really good because we sat out on the front porch, and Boyce, we were way far from your dad, and your mom was there, and so it's just Boyce and I there, and I'm looking, I said, Papa Larry, how much land do you have? He told us he had 3 acres of land. And I said, good grief, we need to come back. We need to bring the kids, and we need to have like a fun time over the summer, during the weekend, and we're gonna plan this. So we did plan that. And a couple of weeks ago, we came back, we brought the children with us. They played on the front lawn. They went, Boyce has he has a big pond in front of his house. And there's like a huge driveway. And so the kids went skateboarding and they were roller skating down. We played kickball, remember? We played kickball. Boyce and my daughter, and then Quincy and myself, my son and myself, and we all played on teams. And we got eaten up by the mosquitoes, and we ate a bunch of chicken, and we had a bunch of I brought a cooler out, and we just sat there for 2 full days and sat on the porch. We talked about religion, we talked about politics, we talked about, what did we talk about? Love, we talked about family, and they've been such a great support to any and every little thing that the kids do. They're like cheering them on 100%. And so it's been really beautiful. Now they have like a new set of grandparents, and you know, they're excited about Boyce being a stepdad, and they're seeing some of the perks, some of the perks that comes along with this. So they see Boyce as a benefit.
The little one requires a little more supervision because she's little, but she has you know, she has her schoolwork, and then also she has her passion, you know, and when I look at kids, I'm looking at all, I'm also factoring in like, you know, what are you going to be when you grow up? What does it really take to be a successful adult in this world? You know, you got to be able to read, write, do math, and then you got to know how to do whatever it is that you want to do for a living. So the little one is a performer, you know. I like pointing, you know, kind of spotting like people's passions, and so for her passion just jumps out.
And really, I think COVID brought us all closer together because
you know, Quincy was talking about all this philosophy he's getting into, and your dad's all into philosophy, and we had really healthy discussions where normally we would be inside watching television. And I made a comment on that. I said, God, I've gotten to know you more this summer during the pandemic because we are sitting out on this front porch, no TV there, and we're talking to each other and having genuine connection with each other. And so when you have conflict in a relationship, which is inevitable, there's 3 ways to deal with it. The first way to deal with it is to get angry. You know, get angry at that person for the conflict. And what that does, it makes your spouse the enemy. Another thing that you can do is you can just silence yourself. So sometimes Boyce would do that. Sometimes I know if Boyce is not having a good day or something's wrong, he will withdraw. Or if there's like, if I say something, which I'm always saying something that bothers him, or I'm doing something that he doesn't like, I don't know it because he'll withdraw. And when he withdraws, what he's doing is he's turning me into a stranger. And I'll say, you know, Boyce, I'm feeling disconnected with you. Can you tell me what's going on with you? What's happening with you? And that it's my responsibility to create an atmosphere of love and acceptance so that he feels comfortable enough to say, you know what, Alicia? Or I felt embarrassed, or I felt upset about something. And then it's my responsibility to just listen to that and validate that. And that's something that you work on. So, you know, the third way of dealing with it is just in the moment say, you know, just talk about how you feel. And if couples were to follow just that format, they won't have to worry about being in entanglement. They won't have to worry about someone deceiving them or cheating on them or anything like that because they have that connection. So if Boyce is doing something, you know how like in relationships, because women are so connected and they're so in tune with each other, or men are in tune with their wives too. You know how like if someone were to have an entanglement, they would know it right away. You know, so if Boyce got involved into an entanglement, I would know instantly. Okay, tell me what's going on. The wives, the spouses are the first one to know. I think you would know instantly because you're so connected. He's very sensitive. Boyce is very sensitive to me. And if I'm having a bad day or something happens, you react strongly.
Hey everybody, come on in. Sorry I was a couple minutes late. My apologies for that. If you have a question, put your question in the Q&A section and I will answer all the questions. Make the question like 1 sentence, maybe 2, not too long. That way I can answer as many as possible. And the reason I was a couple minutes late is because I was starving. I heard the bathroom. I grabbed fruit. I've been trying to eat a lot of fruit and vegetables and stuff. So, and I'm drinking a lot of water. I hear drinking water is really good for you. Let's go Lions. Yeah, look at the Lions. Oh my gosh. And also, Colorado. It looks like Deion Sanders has turned that team around. They're pretty good. I think they're 7-2. So that's good. So if you give me a second to chew this cantaloupe really quick, we can get started. Okay. So put your question in the Q&A section. And I'm not going to talk with my mouth full. Okay. Almost there. This is so ghetto. All right. So
Yeah, I need to take my time because if I choke, if I have like something where I swallow water wrong, I'll start choking. And then when I start choking, I start sneezing. It's really weird. And then I'll sneeze 3 times. I have no idea why my body works like that. But literally, when I drink water funny, you cough a little bit, I'll be like, uh-oh, the sneezes are coming. It's like, achoo, achoo, achoo. So like during COVID, it was kind of crazy because people are thinking that, you're giving them COVID or something. But anyway, so one thing I want to mention really quickly is that oh gosh. Oh, Amani is here. Amani is say hi to Amani. She's in the chat. She is part of our customer support team. So if you have any questions or any concerns or anything in the Black Business School we can help you with, Amani is right there for you, available to answer questions. We are customer obsessed. We're student obsessed. We want to make sure we serve your needs. We want to make you happy. And Amani is part of our customer happiness team. How about that? We want you to be happy and black and proud and feeling good and feeling financially secure. This has been an amazing week for the stock market. The stock market, I think, has made history. I got to look this up, and I did not know this, but I believe that we've never had a year 2 straight years of 20% growth in the market. You saw last week, it was just kind of insane. Bitcoin, a lot of you own Bitcoin, I assume. Give me a guess. How many of you own Bitcoin? How many of you are Bitcoin owners? If I hope that you are. Please tell me that some of you have heard this because I've been saying this for about 7 years. But Bitcoin is now hovering around 86, 87,000. I don't think it's too late to get involved. Personally, I would dig deep. I would keep going. I'm not telling you what to do. This is not investment advice, but the Bitcoin move is very predictable for the most part. And I think now that some of the obstacles have been removed for the growth of Bitcoin, the sky's the limit. Bitcoin is around 86,000 now. It should have done that about 4 years ago, 3, 4 years ago. It didn't because there were just regulatory issues. The SEC was not cooperative and supportive, and I think now you're going to get some of that support. Also, big tech is expected to do extremely well as a result of the Trump administration. Here's the thing. Look, I get it. Some of you voted for Kamala, some voted for Trump, some of you voted for nobody, some of you voted for independent. But when it comes to the economy and the markets, every single thing that I see with the Trump administration accelerates the stock market because you have a government that's kind of being run by businessmen now and business women. And I'm not saying that's good because there are going to be some problems. My wife is a social worker, so she's concerned about social programs, hardcore capitalists. I went to school with guys like Trump. In finance, finance is dominated by white male capitalists. And so yeah, me being black, that did make it a little bit difficult, but I can tell you how they think. They're thinking about the bottom line, they're thinking about the finances, they're thinking about cutting costs and increasing revenue, starting with themselves because they are taking care of themselves, no question about it. But then anybody whose wealth is connected to their wealth is going to see their wealth go up. So if you want to know some things that I did recently, I bought Tesla today. I bought 20 shares of Tesla. I'm going to buy even more over time. It dipped a little bit, so I said, okay, let me go ahead and hop in, and because I've been sitting on the sidelines with Tesla for a while, but I just decided, forget it. I'm going to go with where I think the momentum is going. I also bought some shares of Google because Google owns Waymo. Waymo has been really big in the driverless taxi space. I see a lot of growth there, and I think that there's potential there. And so the other thing is that with Bitcoin is going to continue to grow because the supply is limited. Uh, our government loves to print dollar bills, which drops the value of your dollar. That's one of the reasons why real estate prices have gone up. The price of everything's gone up because there's more dollars floating around than there were before. Bitcoin is not in that category. Bitcoin is going to stay stagnant. They're not going to make more than 21 million Bitcoin. So basically, Bitcoin hitting 86,000 was a massive opportunity because it probably should have hit 86,000 in 2020, 2021. But because the regulators weren't allowing that to happen and the pandemic and just all these weird complications occurred, it didn't happen as soon as it should have. But I believe Bitcoin, if everything had been smooth sailing for Bitcoin,
it will be 200,000 by now, in my opinion. So what I'm doing is I'm just stocking up Bitcoin. I should have bought more. I bought a lot back in the day, but I should have bought more because even I got distracted, and so it can happen to anybody. But I think that there's still room to grow. Now, in terms of ways to invest in it, if you go into your Robinhood app. If you just type in Bitcoin, it'll come up. You can buy it also on Coinbase. I don't know if E-Trade sells Bitcoin or not, but I know that Robinhood and Coinbase do. And you just type in Bitcoin, and the ticker on Robinhood for Bitcoin, I think, is BTC. There are also companies that are correlated and connected to Bitcoin. You see, if a company owns Bitcoin and the value of Bitcoin goes up, then the value of that company goes up with the value of Bitcoin. So, some of those stocks that we've talked about in the Prime program, where we do stock options, are deeply connected to crypto. CleanSpark, Marathon Platforms, Hut. You saw Hut go up. Hut 8 Corporation, HUT. You saw that that's gone up 22% this week, 92% this month. Let's see, year to date it's up only 53%, but it's still up a lot. Marathon is up 53% last week, 45% for the month. Let's see, year to date, it's actually down a little bit. That's interesting for the year. Affirm is not so crypto oriented. It's just a great company. Affirm is up 120% in the last 3 months. So there are lots of there are lots of these companies that are very close to Bitcoin that can grow. You don't have to buy the Bitcoin ETFs. If you don't want to, you could just buy Bitcoin directly or buy one of those crypto stocks that I just mentioned. Let me see. I don't even know the names of the Bitcoin ETFs. So let me see. There's one the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, that IBIT. There's what they call the 2X Bitcoin Strategy ETF. That's BITX. When I say these, if someone could type in the chat, I'd appreciate it because sometimes people don't get it and they'll say, well, what was it again? So if you could put it in the chat, that helps a lot. So IBIT, let's see, the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. IBIT is a passively managed fund. Passively managed means they're not dabbling with it, and they're not moving stuff around. They're just letting it grow with Bitcoin. Passively managed fund that seeks to track the spot price of Bitcoin. That means it's connected to the current price of Bitcoin. So if you buy that asset, then you are in Bitcoin because you're buying something that owns something else. So you're buying shares of a company that owns a lot of Bitcoin, which means that your wealth will grow with Bitcoin. Let's see. Now the 2X Bitcoin Strategy ETF is interesting. Let's see here. Now this is interesting. Now this 2X Bitcoin Strategy ETF, it says here, I got a warning from Robinhood because they have to warn you about risky assets. The fund does not invest directly in crypto, and its performance may differ significantly from the performance of underlying crypto assets. This fund entails significant risk, including the possible loss of your investment. Got it. Okay. BITX aims to provide a 2x, twice the daily price movements of an index based on rolling front month CME Bitcoin futures. Oh, so it's looking at the futures contracts on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Okay. The listed name for BitX is 2X Bitcoin Strategy ETF. Okay, so that means you're connected to Bitcoin, but you're riding the roller coaster like crazy. So this BITX has gone up, let's see, 59% in the last week, much more than Bitcoin, if I'm not mistaken. It's gone up 70% in the last month. It's gone up 81% in the last 3 months. Year to date, it's up 87%. The last 5 years, it's up by 200 and something percent. Actually, I think that's less than Bitcoin because I think Bitcoin's up more than that over the last 5 years. This is interesting. Okay. And they invest in Bitcoin futures, which is different from buying the direct asset. Futures is basically when you're buying these contracts that where the deal is going to be made in the future. So it's like making an agreement that if we agree on a price right now for oil, and let's say oil is trading at $3 a barrel. I don't even know all the prices of oil, but let's say $3 a barrel, and I make a deal with you to buy it from you for $4 a barrel 6 months from now, because we both expect the price to go up, then that will be a futures contract. So it just means we're making an agreement for the future. So you can do futures contracts on a lot of stuff. At some point, we're going to talk more about futures. I want to incorporate that into what we're doing with options. I don't like the 2X. I don't like the BitX. I feel like the risk is a little bit high. Let's see. Here's the ProShares Bitcoin ETF. Let's see what they got going on. Okay, I got the warning again.
Let's see. This one's up 27% the last week. It says BITO actively manages a portfolio of front month CME Bitcoin futures. So they actively manage Bitcoin futures, again, which isn't the same as investing in Bitcoin. In fact, that particular fund has lost 42% in the last 5 years, which is in complete contrast to Bitcoin because Bitcoin's actually been going up the last few years. So let me check this out. Here's another one. ProShares Ultra Bitcoin ETF. Let's see. Uh, nope. 2x the daily price moves index that tracks the price of Bitcoin. Okay, they use swaps to provide leveraged exposure. Okay, let me see how this one's done. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. Let me someone mentioned. So put in the Q&A section what your question is. But yeah, but that first one, the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, I like that one the most. It's passively managed and it just tracks the spot price of Bitcoin. That's it. And that one makes more sense because it looks like its price movements have been pretty consistently connected to Bitcoin. That's IBIT. That's the one I like. The other ones, I feel like they're a little bit too iffy and risky. Let's see, there's the ARK 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. Let's see. Okay, that one looks fine. ARKB is passively managed, which sometimes passive is best. Active management means you're always poking at it and picking at it, trying to time the market. Passively managed means you just connect it to Bitcoin and leave it at that. They seek to track the daily spot price of Bitcoin through a buy and hold strategy that focuses on long-term Bitcoin holdings. So that's like basically you're buying shares of a company that just buys a bunch of Bitcoin, and that's fine too. So that's ARKB. But again, you can buy the Bitcoin directly, just on the Robinhood app or on Coinbase. Okay, so I'm looking in the Q&A section for the questions. If you put it in the chat, I may or may not see it. So put it in the Q&A section. Try to keep the question to 2 sentences. If it's longer than 2 sentences, I'm gonna read the first 2 sentences, and whatever's there is what I'm gonna respond to. Okay, so try to make it brief so I can get through as many questions as we can. Let's see. What are your thoughts on CORZ? Do you think this is a good buy and hold portfolio? Okay, CORZ. Okay, Jonathan, let's see here. CORZ. Core Scientific. Okay, it looks like that's a pharmaceutical company. No, they engage in the business of operating a purpose-built facility for digital mining and provision of blockchain infrastructure. Okay, so it sounds like they're in the crypto space. Let's see, they've gone up a lot, 22% this week, 28% this month. Okay, 1,000% this year. Holy crap, that's crazy. Okay, so the analysts like this stock. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike it at all. I think the only concern I'd have is whether or not whatever the analysts saw that made them all like this stock so much, whether that's already happened, right? Like, because the stock's gone up 1,000% in the last year, which might have been what brought it. It probably put it on the radar of a lot of people. And what happens with investing is a lot of times if everybody's talking about a stock, then everybody wants to buy it because they've seen it go up so much. But a lot of times they come in late and they end up buying it after all the excitement is over with. So you end up buying it the high instead of buying it before the takeoff occurs. Getting in before everyone else knows about the asset is how you make the money. When you get in after everybody else knows, some people say that can cause you to lose money because the best stuff has already happened. What do I think about Dogecoin? I don't like Dogecoin. I don't invest in Dogecoin. Dogecoin is basically worthless. It might in that, but if you believe in the gospel of Elon Musk, then maybe Doge is something you may want to mess around with just for fun. Because I know that he's talked about creating that Department of Governmental Efficiency, and that acronym is actually Doge. So Dogecoin, it looks like it's going way up. It's up to 36 cents or something like that. So, I'm not a big believer in Doge, but it is kind of a fun crypto. So I just bought $200 worth just because I want to see what happens. So I didn't buy it because I believe anything about the fundamental value of that entity. I just bought it because I think everybody is going to just really embrace Elon Musk apparently, and I don't bet against Elon. So you're betting on Elon. You're not really investing in a quality company. Let's just be clear about that. Is Tallow a good stock? Asked Linda Brown. Let's see, Linda. Let's see here. Let's see, TALO, Talos Energy. Yeah, I bought shares in Talos. I like Talos. TALO. TALO is the ticker symbol. So yes, I do own it. Felicia, Dr. Boyce, I bought some OCGN years ago. It's dropped significantly. Your thoughts, please. Okay, OCGN. Let's see. Let's see. OCGN. Ocugen. Oof. Oh. Mm. Mm. It's up. What's interesting is it's up 74% this year, which is just crazy. But it's down 99% over the course of its life. Apparently, it started off as a $680 stock. Now it's worth $1. It's a biopharmaceutical company which engages in the development and commercialization of therapies to cure eye diseases. I'm not a fan of this stock. I'm not a believer that this is a great place to put a lot of money. If I was to invest in it, but here's the thing. Remember that just because I say I don't like it doesn't mean no one likes it. Because if no one liked it, then the stock wouldn't have any investors. Um, and so if I was to sort of look into this company and sort of, ask like, why would I put money here? You're kind of betting on a long shot. You're betting that something good is going to happen and the company is going to restore its former glory and you'll get rewarded for that. And that has happened before. Carvana, has been miraculous. That's a company where they were being accused of being fraudulent and everything else, and their stock price tanked after the pandemic. But Carvana, I think, has done pretty well. I haven't looked at it lately, but when I saw what happened, I said, "Man, I wish I'd bought more of that." Um, so yeah, so Ocugen, they do still have products out there. They're still doing gene therapy work, and with pharmaceutical companies, you have a lot of what you call jump risk, and jump risk is the risk that something big can happen and the stock price can jump. So if you like that company and you want to bet that it's going to jump, then maybe it will, or maybe it won't jump that much. Maybe you'll buy it for $1 and the price will go to $1.50. That's possible, but I would not put the core of my money in that stock. Yeah, it's only $1, and the justification for buying it also could be, look at how many times we waste $1. We waste dollars on stuff that's not going to give us anything at all. At least if I took $100 and bought this stock, I have some chance that this company is going to reemerge and do well again, but I don't own it and I didn't buy it. So that tells you that there's many ways to kind of look at that. Okay. All right. So let's see. Doge is a meme stock. It's really booming as part of the crypto crew right now, but the volatility of a meme stock is concerning. Yeah, meme stocks, the volatility is real. They're not based on anything fundamental. That's the problem. People buy them because it's just popular, and this is the kind of thing that financial scientists don't quite understand, but they assume that it goes away. It's like when you have teenage kids and they get into stuff, and you kind of know after a year or two that they're going to lose interest and do something different, or they're going to grow out of it. So meme stocks are not long-term investments. Meme stocks are more like gambles that may pay off and pay you well, but they may cost you a lot of money. So I'd be really careful about meme stocks. But here's the thing: I've invested in meme stocks before, but it's not so much a matter of an investment decision being a yes or no. The bigger question is, do you know what you're getting into? Like so if somebody says, well, should I have a one night stand or should I go get married? I don't know. I can't tell you what to do. Just do you understand what you're getting into? Because if I go try to have a one night stand and then I say, "Hey, when are we going to get married?" then there's a disconnect between what I expected and what I actually received. So as long as you know what you're getting into. So meme stocks, like Donald Trump's company is kind of a meme stock. It has the possibility of emerging and shooting up through the roof. DJT is the ticker symbol. If you believe in the gospel of Trump and you believe that his fans are magically going to pump the price up, then maybe it's something to kind of mess around with and dabble with. But I also have a student who told me about a lot of money she lost investing in the Donald Trump company because it's DJT, Cynthia, that's the ticker symbol. So the problem with stock companies like that is that there's no floor. Like there's no justification for any valuation other than zero or 20 cents or something. So that's your problem. Whereas if you have a company like Nvidia, which by the way, I think Nvidia is a good investment. In fact, actually, while we're talking, I tell y'all know how I do. If I think of something, I'm in there with you. I'm investing with you. I'm literally going to buy some shares of Nvidia
And the reason I want to buy Nvidia is because I think that this tech thing or this AI boom and bubble is really in its infancy, and I think that there's a lot more in store. Okay, so I think, and I also think that with this reduced regulatory environment, Trump isn't just going to fire Gary Gensler, the head of the SEC. He's also planning to get rid of Nita Khan, who's the head of the FTC, if I'm not mistaken. And what the FTC does, the Federal Trade Commission, is they regulate deals that are done. They regulate business deals, and they come in and they say, Microsoft, no, you can't buy that company because that's an antitrust violation. Well, let's just be clear. Trump is a little bit corrupt on the business side. He's all about his money. So Trump isn't going to get in the way of a business deal. So the tech companies, the reason a lot of tech companies supported this guy is because they said if he's running the police station, then nobody's going to get arrested. I mean, the man was on trial. So, so, so a lot of these. So, if you are a corporate robber baron, he's gonna let you go out and make all your money, and he's not gonna get in the way of that. And so that's the reason why right now, as I'm speaking to you, I'm buying some shares of Nvidia because what happens in the Trump administration is that you have a lot of tailwinds for AI. You have a lot of tailwinds for all forms of technology. Elon Musk is an unofficial whisperer in the ear of the president because he took the big bet of supporting Trump, and the bet paid off. And then also you have the tailwind of reduced regulatory scrutiny. A lot of multi-billion-dollar deals were not allowed to happen because the Biden administration rightfully said this would be an antitrust violation. They were not incorrect in that assessment. Nita Khan was on point in that we need more antitrust scrutiny, but now that's gone. So I just bought some shares of Nvidia, and that's just me telling you what I did. All right, so let's see here. Will any rules be followed by this administration? Um, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they run the White House with Trump, but I do know that they have rules, but they're just different rules, right? They just believe in different things. So, um, yeah, that's that. So yeah, but there will be rules. Let's see here. Grace says, "Can I just buy a call since I do not have 100 shares of a stock? I think the extra money will help me buy and accumulate 100 shares of stock." Well, yeah, you can, but just know when you buy a call option, you can lose your money. So be really cautious when you buy a call. But yeah, you can buy call options. A lot of people made a lot of money buying call options last week. But if the market goes down when you buy a call, then you could lose the whole investment. The best way to build the capital base is either to build it through consistent saving, or maybe get in a space where you can find a way to start a business or a side hustle and make some extra money, or you can borrow it. There are some people that have, I know people in the prime class, for example, who have gotten HELOCs to use their HELOC money. And if you minimize the risk, it can be just like starting a family business. You take that 40,000, 50, 100, whatever the number is, and you apply it very carefully, following the methods that we talk about, and you can generate consistent income selling the stock options pretty quickly and do it in a pretty safe way. Just the same as taking all that money and putting it into a shoe store or a bakery or selling, natural food or whatever. And another way is you can build it by getting together with people in your family that have some capital that they're not deploying, and come up with a strategy, a safe strategy that will allow you to make some income. And I keep emphasizing the word safe because money can be tempting. And if you start making money, I don't want you to get so caught up in the frenzy that you forget that you have to protect it, because the market will turn on you at any moment. Everyone's waiting for the crash. Everyone's waiting for the crash. Everyone's waiting for the crash. The crash is going to happen. The other shoe is going to drop. Things do not stay this good forever. You are living in historic times right now because the market has been historically strong, which means that when the crash happens, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be violent, it's going to be messy, it's going to be blood in the streets. So this is the time to really protect yourself, protect, because when the crash happens, I don't want to see you sad because there were things you could have done that you didn't do. So let's prepare. Okay, got it. All right. So let's see here. And if you're not sure how to do that type of stuff, I did do the training, Stormproof Investing. So if you want to go take a look at that, I spent a whole 90 minutes breaking down different ways to protect your portfolio. So you can feel free to go to stormproofinvesting.com. Carolyn, what's the best strategy moving forward? I think we talked a lot about that in terms of strategically protecting your wins. Now that you've got these gains that happened this past week, you may want to lock it in. You could sell a little bit off the top. You can get some strengthen your put options. Maybe you can pull some money off and diversify. When in 2021, when the market was doing really well, one thing that I did that I was happy I did is I took a big chunk of my portfolio and I went and bought a house. And we just went into we were, my wife and I were going into this whole thing about being landlords and stuff together. And we regret it a little bit. I don't like being a landlord. I told you all that. But at the same time, we have this house, and this house has shot up in value since we bought it because real estate has gone crazy since that time. It was a very hard deal to pull off because in Atlanta, like we had 30 other people bidding on the same house. So we had to make our bid quickly. And we couldn't negotiate hardly at all because the seller had all the power, but I wanted the house anyway, and it paid off because we made money from it, and now that's just another asset that we just have in the portfolio that isn't going to go up and down so much with the stock market. Okay, so you want to spread your money out. You don't want all your money in the stock market. You don't want all your money in real estate. You also want to think about how you're making your money and make your money in a way that makes you comfortable and happy. I don't like being a landlord, so I adjusted my portfolio and said to my wife, I said, let's sell this property over here in Chicago, take that money, buy some stock, sell the options. We'll make more money, and I can give you more money from this. She trusts me, so she lets me kind of manage all that stuff, and I just give her a big check every month, and it's that easy, and it's no work required. It's still just as valuable, liquid, and everything else, so it works out pretty well. Okay, so let's see. Malaysia, what do you think about the company Anduril? It's not publicly traded yet, but I'm hearing about it. I don't really, I mean, I don't know what the situation is with that company, but I'm not a big fan of buying stuff that's not publicly traded. There's this, I think, false belief that getting in on these companies before, in their pre-IPO stage is this great secret way to make millions of dollars. I don't think it's a secret anything. I think it's an easy way to lock your money up and not have access to it for years. I invested in a company called TribeVest 5 years ago, and I put in $75,000, and I hear that my investment is worth 300,000, but I can't get to it. I can't get to the money, and so I'd rather have 150,000 and know that I could go take the money and use it if I need it. But I just have this asset that's sitting there, and it's fine for the most part, but it's very risky to put all your wealth in a bunch of wealth in one company anyway. I would rather have spread that money out because for every one investment that I made, like TribeVest, that went really well, there's several times where maybe I invested in stuff. I invested in one black-owned venture, that looked really promising, and I liked the people that were doing it, so they wanted some money. I said, okay, yeah, I'll put $50,000 in, and then whatever reason, they didn't follow through. They were barely able to even give me my basic money back. And the way they laid out the deal was beautiful and perfect. But when it came time to actually execute, everything was just falling apart. And suddenly it was really hard to do everything. And it just really kind of disappointed me a lot. And it reminds me when Mike Tyson used to say, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So whatever it was, their perfect little dream plan, what they were going to do is, I think, buy some property and create like a black-owned community and everything. And the mistake I made in that case was that I underestimated the fact that I assume they knew what they were doing. I don't think that they did, or that they underestimated like what complexities might arise. And so as a result, I didn't make any money. I had to fight to just get back some part of my investment, and so I'm still a fan of doing black owned entities and stuff. I think anything that's owned by a black person is a black owned business. So if you buy stock in Microsoft, then there's some part of Microsoft that's black owned, because when you buy stock in a company, you are an owner, but you're not running the company. You don't get to make the hiring decisions, stuff like that. So that's a different kind of ownership, but it is technically my shares of Microsoft are black owned shares. But at the same time, what I do is I have more of a blend. I tend to invest in black owned businesses with people that I've known for many years, where I carefully vet the deal.
I have extreme proof that the person can execute, and there's not a massive requirement of capital that I have to put up before I can start getting results. I can dip my toe in the water, see how things are working, and then decide if I want to go deeper based on what's working. I don't invest lots of money in pipe dreams. So I encourage you to be careful. A lot of you, like I've seen times where, maybe a lady, her grandson has this great idea for a business, and the grandma takes half her pension and puts it into the son's business, and where all ideas are untested. He hasn't proven that he can make any money, and she just wants to support him. And next thing you know, all the money's gone. Like those Raisin in the Sun kinds of scenarios. You remember Raisin in the Sun, right? Where Willie opened the daddy had worked his whole life to save up for the $10,000 in policy, and then Willie to put it all. He was supposed to put it in the liquor store, but Willie ran off with the money. There's a lot of Willies in the world, and Wilhelminas. So it's not just male. I mean, there's a lot of women that also, not so much in terms of being, what's the word, or doing something unethical, but sometimes it's just they just aren't ready for the idea. They what they visualize. 9 times out of 10, when you start something new, what you think is going to happen is nowhere near what's actually going to occur. You just have to go in assuming that a lot of things are going to go wrong, that all these things that you just knew were going to make you money aren't going to make you money. You shouldn't believe that money's coming until the money's actually coming. Then you can start to say, okay, maybe there's something here. But I'm telling you, just take it from somebody who's learned the hard way in many cases. Don't go putting a whole bunch of money into somebody's idea. There's a reason why banks will not just invest in your idea. Your idea is great, but it's inside your head. That don't mean hardly nothing. If it's you got to make it real. If you make it real, then people will say, "Oh, there's something here. Okay, this is working. Okay, we're gonna support that." But if you're just running around talking, talk is cheap. Anybody can talk about things. All it takes is your imagination. Okay, so anyway, let me keep going. Natasha, Dr. Boyce, did you see the article about the Ethereum holder who turned 38,000 into 30 million after 8 years? I didn't see it, but it's happened a lot. I told you I had a cousin who had 300 Bitcoin and he didn't think about it. He probably paid $300 for 300 Bitcoin. Now he's got 300 Bitcoin. And if you do the math on what 300 Bitcoin are, now again, this is a black man, didn't go to college, none of that stuff, because so he ain't got a good black job, but he's a multimillionaire. If you look at the recent Bitcoin price of just 86,000 multiplied by 300, you're talking about, wait, 2.58 e to the seventh. What is that? Is that 2.5 million? Is that right? I'm trying to wait, hold on. 81,000. Hold on. 80. No, that's more than that. That's holy crap. I gotta call him. He owes me some money. But yeah, so it's an insane amount of money. I think, wait, 81,000, 810,000, and then 8 million. Yeah, $25 million. Holy crap. Man, hey cuz, how you been, man? I need to like reach out, touch base again, see how he's doing. But anyway, so what? Yeah, it was funny how he just kind of like we were sitting in our family business meeting, and he said, "Yeah, I bought some bitcoins. I bought about 300." And I said, "You did what?" And he said, "Yeah, about 300." I said, "Do you know how much they're worth?" And he said, "No, what are they worth?" I said, "But at the time it was $40,000." And he's like, "Cool." Like that was it. That was his whole reaction. Anyway, let me keep going. All right, so let's see. What about X-GBT? Hmm. Let me see here. I think my wife is upstairs singing and it's so loud. Um, I don't know what XGBT is. I see the dash. I'm looking it up on Robinhood. I don't see it on Robinhood, Janet. So maybe you could tell me what it is, but I don't see it as a listed stock on Robinhood, which to me is a red flag. That's a red flag. Be really careful about stuff that's not sort of mainstream. It doesn't mean that it's all bad, but it just a lot of dreams get sold on the internet. So you want to be careful. Don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you used to. That's what I would say to that. Angela, should I invest in BITB? Um, if that was the safe Bitcoin ETF, I'm not telling you to invest in it, but I don't see anything wrong with it. Let's see the Bitwise Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, passively managed. Yeah, BITB looks fine. Or you can just buy Bitcoin directly. It's easy. Just type in Bitcoin on Robinhood or Coinbase. You can find it that way too. Undra says, when I open my brokerage account, guys and money to it, and they invest in it for me, or do I invest myself? Oh, Um, I think you can invest it yourself, but if it doesn't cost much to have an advisor to kind of help you allocate, why not? Why not? Just be cautious. Don't let them charge you too much for that. But yeah, I mean, you can do it that way. It depends on how you want to do it. You can do it yourself though. You can. Investing doesn't it's only complicated because people make it complicated because there's a lot of options and sometimes we can get option anxiety because there's so many different things you can do. But all the theory says that if you literally invest, if you literally just put a certain amount of money consistently into a diversified portfolio of S&P 500 companies, that's going to work out just fine for you. So give me 1 second. Let me shut this door because my wife's singing. It's loud. Hold on. What's all that noise? Lord Jesus, Alicia. What is she in there doing? Okay, anyway. And she got mad because I used to have an open office where you could just anybody could walk in and just kind of glance and see what I was doing and stuff. And I had a door put on my I had a door, it was open like French doors. Those little girly doors that just kind of fly open. And now I had a guy install heavy doors that are soundproof and a lock. Because I was like, sometimes I got to be in the zone, I got to focus, and she hated that. But I was like, sometimes I got to break away, like because a lot of times, like back in the day, when you were married, you would get up and you would go to work, and then you would see each other like 9 o'clock or not 9 o'clock, but maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. But now, married couples like us, like we see each other all day long, and her office is right next door to mine. And so sometimes you need that space to just kind of detach and do whatever you're doing. So that's the reality of being married. So anyway, let me keep going. The Grayscale Bitcoin mini trust ETF. I don't invest. I didn't invest in it. I'm not a big fan of it. I think that's connected to Bitcoin futures. I think. I think. If it's Here's the deal. If the Bitcoin trust is connected to the spot price, then I like it. But if it's connected to like the futures contracts or something, here we go. Yeah, okay. GBTC is a passively managed, offering exposure to daily USD spot price of Bitcoin. That's fine. So what you look for, in my view, with a Bitcoin ETF is you look for two things: spot price, passively managed. Passively managed means all they do is they create an asset that tracks the price of Bitcoin. That means if Bitcoin goes up, you made money. If it goes down, you lost money. It's easy, straightforward. Okay. Your Let's see here. Remote work adds a level of patience. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's marriage is harder sometimes now, I think, because I don't know if human beings are supposed to really see each other that much. And also, every single theory of supply and demand and how it links to psychology says that the more you supply something, the less valuable it gets. So, like, the more I'm in your face all day and the more my wife is seeing me, the more likely she's to be like, oh, there he is again. Oh, Lord. So sometimes I'm like, I'm gonna make myself scarce so you'll learn to appreciate me again. And or vice versa. Like when I would travel and I'd be gone like 3 or 4 days, I come back and I see my wife and I'm excited to see her. I'm like, wow, what a great wife. I'm so happy to have my wife and the kids and the house and everything else. But if you're seeing the same thing every day, it's you know how it is. It's not the same, right? Not the same. But I do appreciate my wife, so I'll make that clear. All right, so how do you feel about XRP? I would buy it. I like XRP. I like all the cryptos, the big ones. Solana, I like Solana. I like Ethereum. I like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the OG of crypto. Bitcoin is like they're like the 50 cent of crypto. You know how he got shot 9 times and he still lived. Bitcoin has been shot 15 times. They have been launching nuclear missiles at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is strong because there are people that just believe in it. The hodl culture is strong. HODL stands for hold on for dear life. Woo, those people, I have tremendous respect for the hodl culture in Bitcoin, and that's what's maintained the value of this currency, and that's what, in my view, is going to get Bitcoin up to 250,000, 500,000, 1 million. Because once the institutional investors fully embrace Bitcoin, it's going to just go crazy. And Ethereum is powerful because it has an amazing network that underlies Ethereum. You could build smart contracts and all kinds of amazing stuff. So Ethereum is a powerful tool that I think is going to be applied in a lot of areas in society. Juanita, what other apps besides Robinhood would you suggest for a newbie? I like Robinhood. I like Acorns, Stash, Coinbase. E-Trade and E-Trade and Schwab are good. They have good customer service. So those are some. And you really don't need a bunch. You just need 2 or 3. What's your opinion on CRDO? Ask Grace. Okay, Grace, let me look it up. CRDO, Credo Technology Group. Okay. So the stock has gone up 142% this year. Okay. It's not an old company. The analysts like it. Let's see. They engage in the development of connectivity solutions and products for data infrastructure, the data infrastructure market. Its products include integrated circuits, active electric cables. Okay, good. All right. They are making a profit. Yeah, why not? I wouldn't get mad at you for buying it. I don't see any issues with it. Altimmune. I think I know that company, Leslie. It's kind of a weird company. It kind of does weird stuff. The stock is up now. It went up 26% today. Holy cow. It's down for the year though. It's up 50% for the last 3 months. So this is a schizophrenic sort of company. So if I bought a company like this because they're not making money, I would actually buy it and not really, like make a decision, really, in my opinion. And it has to be a 3 or 4 or 5 year decision. Am I going to own this stock or am I not? Because if you say I'm going to own it so I can have a quick gain, but if it goes down too far, I'm going to sell, then you may sell at the wrong time. So Altimmune is the kind of company where you just have to believe in the company and the industry and just say, I'm just going to ride the storm out for this. Because the other thing too is that when a company is kind of struggling financially in a time like now where money's readily available, I might be concerned about what's going to happen if times really get tough. But given the company hasn't declared bankruptcy or anything, sure. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with taking a look at that company. Let's see here. Okay, Dennis, we talked about XRP earlier. Okay, perfect. What do you think about Palantir and SoFi? Asked Michelle. I like them both. I do. I like them both. I think I own them both. Let's see, Keeson, can you give advice about is this a good time to buy Bitcoin? Not investing advice, but I think it is. I'm buying as much Bitcoin as I can. Yvette says you mentioned E-Trade being good for long-term stocks. Please explain your choice between various portfolios. It's just a particular style I just picked. I picked E-Trade. I have an E-Trade account and a Merrill Lynch account because I don't want all my money in one place. Because if the technology goes bad or a company gets hacked, I don't want to have to show up and beat somebody up because they lost all my money. So diversification is really the thought process there. In terms of like the type of portfolio and the style of portfolio, my goal, I'm not a person that's super detail oriented in terms of overthinking stuff. I've been very detail oriented. You have to be extremely detail oriented to get a PhD in finance. It's unbelievably hard. But once you go through all the stuff, you kind of realize that there's usually like 2 or 3 simple principles that will do 80-90% of the work for you. So the key principle on investing is just do it consistently and don't stop. If you see a good investment, buy it, own it. You're better off owning that stock than you are owning a cup of coffee at Starbucks, or owning more Christmas gifts for your kids, or owning another car that's going to decline in value. So even if I buy a stock and it doesn't work out, at least I had a chance for it to work out. At least I put my money somewhere where it had a chance to grow. Because if I go to the mall and spend that same $100, that has 0% chance of growing into anything other than a pair of jeans or whatever. So investing consistently is the key. Not over investing in any particular one thing, focusing on quality investments that will make you rich. If you do it like a habit, like a religion, like a fitness protocol or something like that, that will get you to where you want to get to. And with AI, I think it's really important
because AI is just changing everything. It's making the world is harder for workers. It's really getting harder for workers in a lot of ways. Donald Trump is not going to make it any easier. I don't think the Democrats are going to make it easier anyway. Even Bernie Sanders says that the party, what did he say? He said they abandoned the working class. I don't disagree with him. I think politicians have done this. So the working people are going to have a hard time. Investors are not. So my goal is to convince you to, even if you are a worker, which is good, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I want you to really think about what you're working on and whether or not it's working for you. And what does working for you look like? Well, it means that your net worth is increasing. It means that you're bringing in more than you're putting out. It means that your resources are positioned for long-term growth. It means that if you do decide you want to go on your own, start a business or whatever, you kind of know where to go to get those resources or that skill set that you need. You have a network of people that you can go reach out to and connect with if you're trying to build together or solve problems together, things like that. And also, it means that when you hear that the economy is doing great and that the stock market exploded, you're not sitting on the sidelines saying, dang, I wish I knew what to do. I wish I could have been a part of that. I want you to be a part of that. AI is going to make an insane amount of money. They know how to make the billions. You want your wealth tied on to the people that know how to make the billions. They can survive in any economy. There's no economy that's going to come forth that Microsoft won't know how to survive in. So if you are taking extra money and consistently buying shares of Microsoft, then you're tying your ship onto their ship. And they understand the terrain better than any of us do. And so I think that's a good policy and a strategy to follow. So let's see here. John Tree says, is there a minimum share price to sell options on stocks? There's no minimum share price. You have to own 100 shares of the stock. And so if the stock is $10, buying 100 shares means you pay $1,000. If the stock is $100, 1,000 shares is $100,000. Wait, did I do that math right? Sorry, if the stock is $100, 100 shares is $10,000. Sorry, I said 100,000. That seemed like a big number. But or maybe I don't know, maybe it's almost my nap time. So if I did the math wrong, please forgive me. Let's see here. Now if you had any questions about the Prime program, don't forget, or any program, you can actually email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Keep that email around. And if you ever email support and you don't get someone to hear back, come to class and tell me, because I will make sure that I personally get that message to the team. There might have been some reason that it was missed, but they're right there and they're waiting to hear from you. So use that email address, keep it nearby, support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Or if you want to go look at Prime, we're going to have a Prime session soon. I'm going to finish the Moneymaker Grid today. So if you want to try it out, just go to drboyceprime.com. I think you guys will like it. There's a discounted price on that page, drboyceprime.com. Can we invest in SpaceX? Not yet, Dwayne. I'm gonna buy shares in SpaceX because I just think space is exciting. I want to be a part of that. Let's see, Carolyn. Thank you, Dr. Boyce. Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you as well. Let's see here. John Trey, how do you feel about ChargePoint Holdings? Let me see. I'm trying to remember how I felt about ChargePoint. I've dabbled with the stock. I probably sold it. I think I know the ticker was CHPT. ChargePoint is so garbagey right now. It's dropped 88% in the last 5 years. This company's barely holding on. I wouldn't buy shares in ChargePoint. ChargePoint, it's like a vomit stock. But the thing about the vomit stocks is that sometimes they can make more money than any other stock in your portfolio. Like if ChargePoint turns the ship around and does a couple things right and starts making money and their stock price goes from $1.12 to $1.98, then suddenly you've made this 98% or 95% ROI or whatever. So don't think that a bad stock is automatically a bad investment. But what I really sense here is I feel like just the momentum is going in the wrong direction. The stock lost another 9% today. It's lost 16% this month. It's lost 34% the last 3 months. It's lost 51% year to date. It's lost 58% over the last year. It's lost 88% over the last 5 years. So this stock is barely holding on. But there are people who, like the Motley Fool, there's an article that says, is ChargePoint a millionaire maker stock? And so here's what they mentioned. Here are their key points. They said ChargePoint stock has plummeted more than 90% since its public debut. It faces tough competition from Tesla and other EV makers. Its stock looks cheap, but its business model
doesn't look sustainable. And that's what you're trying to figure out is, okay, is this a company that has a chance to turn around? So it becomes almost like a religion where if you believe ChargePoint is going to make a comeback, then then this would be your chance to possibly get rich. The problem is though, it's like being in a relationship with somebody who's a complete loser who's been ruining his life, for the last 5 years. Yeah, I mean, if you invest in that person, while they're on their rock bottom, then maybe there will be a big win for you later on down the line, but there's also a big risk for you. That's it. So the big win can come with the big risk. So basically, with ChargePoint, um, there are a few issues. The steep decline in the stock is a mess. The competition. Also, they have a low price for their vehicles, but the analysts believe that ChargePoint's business model may not be sustainable. And if your business model isn't sustainable, then your company's not sustainable. So, if you're investing in ChargePoint, maybe you might look for something that says that there's a chance here. ChargePoint's the kind of company where maybe getting a new CEO who is experienced in turning companies around could be something that becomes a catalyst for the stock price. But I'm not putting my money in that company. I'll just say that. Pamela, how accessible is Bitcoin money gained? You just buy it and sell it. You buy it on Robinhood. You sell it, you get the money. Can you withdraw $1 million when you see that you've hypothetically made that? Yeah, if your investments are liquid and invested in publicly traded assets, then yeah, you can pull your money right out. That's why I love the stock market. I like it. I like it better than real estate. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I don't dislike real estate, but I've experienced both. I like stocks. I like if I want to make money. If I want to make $10,000 a month, you know what I could do on the stock market really easily? I could go and I could find a company like a firm and I could buy 2,000 shares of a firm, let's say, and that would cost me $112,000, right? So $112,000 that I can't even buy a good house with 112,000, but I could buy 112,000. Robinhood will loan me half, so that's my bank. So I put about 56,000. I got the 112,000. So now I got this $2,000 asset. And putting aside the puts I'd have to buy, I could sell options on that asset right now and make this money by tomorrow. I could go and sell a December 13th call option. The price is 56.38. I could pick a strike price to say 59. I could sell that asset or sell that call for $3.85 each. That would make me $7,699 a month. So 2,000 shares wouldn't give me 10,000 a month, but it would give me $7,700 a month. So literally by simply having a very modest capital base, $112,000. Yeah, it's a lot of money for sure, but the average house is over 400,000, right? So if I had a capital base that matched the value of an average home in America, then that's four times that. That gives me about 8,000 shares of Coinbase. I could literally right now go on the market and make at least $20,000 to $25,000 a month on that investment. You can't do that in real estate. You can't buy a $400,000 house and easily make 20 grand a month. You'd have to jump through a lot of hoops, and it would take a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of BS and a lot of crap. My house in Atlanta, there's so much administrative stuff that gets on my nerves. I got to do. I got to deal with the property manager. I got to go and get the property ready for the next renter. If we rent it out, I have to go sign paperwork. They're asking for documents I don't even have. There's just all this bureaucratic crap that does something that I don't enjoy, which is it diminishes my quality of life. I'm a believer that your investing strategy should not significantly diminish your quality of life. And if it does, it better be freaking worth it. Financial literacy is powerful because it tells you all the ways you can make money so you don't feel like you have to do what's in front of you. You have a range of things you can do. And consciousness means you can factor in other variables besides just, well, how much money am I going to make? Wealth is so much deeper than just the income from the investment. It's, what's it going to do to you? What's it doing to your mental health? What's it going to do to your physical health? Are your kids going to hate you because they don't see you anymore because you're an entrepreneur that's working 14 hours a day? So if I'm sitting on some money and I can do something like this, and me and my family are sitting on, if we can raise together 200,000 to go and make this purchase of some stock just in a firm or something, and we can bring in our business instantaneously $20,000 a month, 25,000, whatever, I'm doing that because there's no work required. It's liquid. We can sell it anytime. It allows us time to enjoy our lives. So this to me is magical. It's the best way to make money I've ever seen. So that's what I believe. That's what I think. It's my personal opinion. Some people are going to disagree, but I don't know. That's what I believe. All right. So anyway, let me keep going. All right. So if my Coinbase has passed the strike price of 220 and also has passed my average cost of 242, would it be possible to do a rollover with paying to stay in position? I don't know what you mean by paying to stay in position. Um, you passed your strike price and it's past your average price cost of 242. Okay. You could do a roll up or roll down. It all whether or not you maintain your relationship with the stock really comes down to a big variable, which is how do you feel about being connected to that company? What do you think about the prospects? You don't know though. Like sometimes there are things that are just unknowable. You just have to make a decision. So, Coinbase, nobody knows what it's going to look like exactly. You know that there are some positive catalysts with the support that the Trump administration has for crypto. So that might push that stock upward. Coinbase was one of the companies that spent millions of dollars to get Trump into office specifically because they wanted support in the crypto space. So if you believe that Coinbase is right and that they're going to get a payoff for their big bet, which I believe that they will, then maybe Coinbase is a stock to stay invested in. But the downside is, yeah, if it went past your strike price, you're going to have to buy at a higher price. But if you see Coinbase as simply a stock that you're trying to earn income on, you can earn great income from Coinbase, but you have to manage the volatility. And that's what we, talk a lot about in the Prime program. So if you log into drboyceprime.com, you'll see lots of examples on how to manage that risk. But Coinbase is at over $300 a share. It's gone up 58% the last 3 months, 78% year to date, 236% this year. And but the benefit of that is like right now I can sell a December 13th call option for Lord Jesus. This is crazy. I could sell the price is 309. I could pick a strike price as high as 340. 309 to 340. 309 to 340. That's $31 a share above where it is. So process this. This is why a capital base is more valuable than a college degree. Let me explain. Let me show you this. If I love my kids and I've been investing consistently and I can somehow find a way as a family, we can raise a capital base where we have 1,000 shares of Coinbase. 1,000 shares of Coinbase costs less than the average home in America, right? So that's $309,000. That's a lot of money, but it's less than the average home in America. I pay half of that. Our family puts up 150. Robinhood gives us the other 150. I can sell this freaking call option for $20 per share. If I have 1,000 shares, that's $20,000 a month in income I can make from that investment, right? So the Coinbase is a great earner income wise. The problem with it though is that it'll throw temper tantrums. It'll shoot past the strike price, then it'll go way down and give you a heart attack. Then it'll go way back up, right? So you got to make sure you're ready for that ride. If you're not ready for the ride, then don't get on it. But if you understand what's coming and you're okay with that and you know how to manage that, then that might be a good Bronco to ride. I know I own shares of Coinbase. I've owned Coinbase for a long time. I don't sell options on Coinbase. I have other stocks I do that with, but it's pretty good, right? It's you acquire some a capital base and you can make that income. And literally, if you think about that, right? If a kid had 1,000 shares of Coinbase, he would make more money than a doctor without going to college, without having to go to work every day. So it might be hard to do. It's very hard to do this overnight. It's very hard to raise $300,000 overnight, but it's very easy to do if you give yourself 10, 15, 20 years to do it by investing consistently over time. Remember this too, you don't have to have the whole 300. You'd have to have half of that. So if you and your family, you and your buddies get together and you can pull together 150, then you can use margin to get the rest. You protect your risk, you minimize your risk in ways that we talk about in class, and then boom, you've got a business. You've got a great business that's making great money and you don't have to do any work. You don't have to come up with the product, figure out the business model, go to trade shows to sell products and get on the phone networking all day. You get to live your life. Let's see here. Let's see. Have I signed up for the correct class? I'm looking for stock options. April, this is stock market investing. So this is where we focus mostly on stocks. If you have an interest in stock options, you can go to drboyceprime.com. If you're in the wrong place, just reach out to email support at theblackbusinessschool.com. Prime members actually get access to this class for free. So if you Or if you do Prime, you'll still have access to this. And the fee is fair, the price is fair. If you go to drboyceprime.com, there's a discount price there. So feel free to go there if that's of interest to you. Let's see. Are you able to borrow against your stocks? Yes, you can. If so, how are you able to borrow money against it? If you go to your stockbroker, or sorry, your bank, and you tell them you own an asset, you can use your stocks as collateral. And just they could talk you through that process. Can you share your screen and simulate the $5 a day plan? I can't do that now because I don't have anything, Gail, that's that I can put on the screen. But if you go to blackwealthmasterplan.com, that's where the $5 a day plan can be found. Blackwealthmasterplan.com. Also inside your login at the blackstockmarketprogram.com, you'll find the $5 a day plan. We kind of put it in different places for sure. Let's see, what's the stock options class? Yeah, John Trade, the stock, we mentioned what the stock options, the main stock options class is. Okay. What do you think about Joby? It's an aviation stock. I forgot about Joby. I don't know why Joby came up, but I've looked at Joby before. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was into aviation. I still am. I'm gonna buy a plane. I just decided that I don't really want to always be the pilot. I did get my student pilot's license, um, I'm gonna buy. We're actually going into like kind of like the aviation business. Like yeah, so we're gonna buy a plane basically. Um, and Joby, yeah, Joby's not bad. I don't hate Joby. It looks like they're losing money though. They're fine. Yeah, I wouldn't get mad at you for buying it, but I think there's better investments out there, in my opinion. Is Intel good to invest in? Intel, I think, was hurt. I think with the Trump administration disliking the CHIPS Act that the Biden administration came up with, I think that was bad for Intel. So I don't know if Intel is going to be a big winner with the new people in the White House. Nvidia is definitely eating their lunch. If you believe that Intel could catch up with Nvidia or take some of their market share, that's a possibility, but I don't see a lot of evidence of that happening right now. Let's see. Does your estate planning program cover trust and how to set up holding companies? Yes. So if you go to drboycelift.com, that stands for Legacy Investors for Tomorrow, drboycelift.com. That's where you can find out about trust and everything else. And we're going to have our first live training in the next couple of weeks. We're going to bring in experts every month. They can help you with your legacy planning. Plus, there's a whole curriculum there if you want to go take a look at that. drboycelift.com. I have 100 shares in REE. Can I do options on it? I don't know if REE was a stock that we picked out in class. But if it has an options market, not every stock has an options market. And REE is a $7 stock, so chances are selling options, you won't be able to make a lot of money. You can do options on it technically, but this is not one that I would pick for something like that. This is more so a stock I might consider for a long-term investment. But even then, I don't know if I do that. I mean, this stock is really having trouble with its business model. It's interesting though. It's gone up 113% the last 3 months. So maybe somebody sees some potential, but it's gone down 97% the last 5 years, which says that it's kind of on this downward spiral. So really investing in it comes down to whether or not you believe it could possibly turn around. All right. So what I'm gonna do is we've been in here for an hour and in 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and shut it down for today. We've kind of my brain is getting mushy, and I know I've given you guys a lot to process today. So we will meet every Tuesday. We're gonna be back this upcoming Tuesday. If you want, if you're still raring to go and you want more, log in at the blackstockmarketprogram.com and look in your material. There is 7 years worth of Q&As just like this one. A lot of the information is evergreen. A lot of the conversations can still benefit you today. If you go into what Dr. Boyce is buying, those stocks, any stock I've laid out as a I wouldn't say a recommendation, but every stock I've laid out that I like for the last 3 years is still something, most likely something that you could buy today and still do well. Every single stock that I pick is basically done with a 3 to 5 year time horizon in mind. I'm not thinking about stuff that's going to just blow up tomorrow. I'm thinking about things that look solid for the next 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 years. In fact, Warren Buffett goes out 10 years. He says if you're not prepared to own a stock for 10 years, you shouldn't own it for 10 minutes. Okay, so there's plenty of stuff available. So feel free to dive in. And I'm gonna go and eat some food, take a shower, and take a nap because my brain has officially, like, my battery has drained. So God bless you guys. I hope you have a great great day. I hope this discussion has benefited you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. And you'll hear from me via email and text and all that stuff. So talk to you guys later. Take care now. Bye-bye.
I'm good. We've been up for a while, haven't we?
We were in the 5 a.m. club.
5 a.m. club. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, it's funny. She woke me. Here's what she did, right? So she wakes me up and she goes, "Boyce, we have 8 minutes to be in the car."
That's true.
And I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to move." And she's like, "You'll be glad you did it." I said, "Okay, all right, I'm gonna get up." So I rolled out of bed. It is so excruciating every day to do that. But the good thing is that you get to later on then brag about it. Like I got up at 5 in the morning and lifted weights and
Well, if you skip it, then you just feel bad all day. Like, oh, I skipped it. I should have
you
not
know
stayed in the bed.
that's true. But sometimes like because you're so like ready to get to boot camp on time, it like I don't get time to like take my supplements because I started taking like creatine and omega-3.
Oh
I
my
take that now.
gosh.
Yeah,
You gotta be buff.
I have a whole regimen. Yeah, well you've been seeing my muscles.
I know I have
Don't
seen your
lie.
muscles.
And you're looking pretty good yourself.
Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, boot camp is something because if you're late, you have to do all these burpees.
I don't even know what a burpee is.
It's not fun at all. It's 25 burpees, I think.
That
So I don't
doesn't
want
even
to be
sound.
late
I mean, when I think burpees,
on top of what we
I
already do.
right, the burpees don't even sound like an exercise.
It's not fun.
Somebody just made that name up. Anyway, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing? And first off, I want to start off by first asking you, can you give us a quick sound check? Let us know you can hear us. Give us a quick yes if you can hear us. Shout out your city too. I see Nikki from the UK. Oh, we're gonna talk about the UK today because y'all got some podcasters who really messed up. And we're gonna break that down. Karen Dorsey from Gastonia, North Carolina. Good to see you. El Hodge, Deja Vu from Alabama. Shout out to the Crimson Tide and also the Auburn Tigers. I don't know which side of the fence you're on in that. You were born and raised in Tuskegee.
Roll Tide.
Yeah,
I'm
roll
an
tide.
Alabama fan for sure.
Okay then, okay then.
Yes.
All right, Justin Pender from New York City. I see Yoshika. How you doing, Yoshika? LaShonda Cooley. Good morning to you as well. Darlene X. Dupree Wade. Rise and Shine Sky Dwellers. Sky Dweller. What's a Sky Dweller?
Mm,
Oh, well, it sounds good. I appreciate it.
yeah.
All right, so Dupree Wade, let's see who else is in here. Larry C. Good to see everybody. All right, so let's jump into the topic for today. So there apparently was this interesting controversy that got my attention this morning involving this comedian. I'm gonna put his face up here. His name's Andrew Schultz. And
Let me
can you
take a
see him?
look at him. I've never seen him before.
Yeah, well,
He's a famous comedian.
well, he does a, he
I don't
does
know
a, he
anything
does
about him.
like a podcast stuff with Charlemagne.
Oh, with Charlemagne.
Yeah, and you and
Charlemagne's crossed over now.
I don't know what that means. I mean, I
What's
guess
up?
if you work with white people, that
He
means.
done made it.
Well, he does a lot of stuff with white people. You know, he was on the Comedy Central and stuff.
He was on Comedy Central. It was pretty funny.
I thought he did a good job. I did. You know,
You know,
he did. And Charlemagne, I'll always respect him for the fact that back when I met him on the Wendy show, he asked for a copy of my book. What if George Bush were a black man? And I was like, yeah, sure, here you go. And I just give out the copies because I assume famous people don't have time to read your books. I came back, he had read my whole book. I was like, okay, that's a smart dude right there.
did he like it?
Um,
What did he say? He
he,
give you some feedback?
you know what? He didn't say anything, so maybe he hated it.
No, because if he didn't like it, he wouldn't have mentioned it to you.
Oh, that's so true. I
You
think it
know,
was a damn good book. I thought that shoot because Damon Wayans when I met him,
which book was it?
what if George Bush were a black man?
I read it.
It was like
I read it.
yeah.
It was funny. It was entertaining.
I didn't even plan to be funny when I wrote it.
Really?
Yeah, the funny just spilled out of me.
Maybe you should be a comedian.
I think so. I think I could do it. What do y'all think? Anyway, so yeah, but I gave a copy to Damon Wayans and he didn't. He was like, I want to read your book. And it's like,
Damon Wayans?
yeah, he's really big in person. He's really tall.
Is he really?
Yeah, I think all the Wayanses are tall people.
Especially the sister.
Yeah, and there's just some big old Negroes. But anyway, so apparently Andrew Schultz is this guy who he does stuff with Charlemagne. I like Charlemagne. I don't know how I feel about Andrew Schultz because I never met him, but I can say this: he made some comments that just were a little bit baffling. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play what was said, and it had to do with black women, and it really set the internet on fire. It also, in my view, was reflective of a deeper discussion that I think has to be had about how the world kind of views black women and black men. Like, and then also if you really even compound that with what's going on with Diddy, that also reflects the image of the black man around the world and what hip hop unfortunately has done to that image. So let me just play the clip here and then we can kind of discuss it. So, and our goal is to have an elevated conversation, not just to gossip about it. So here's the clip. Here we go.
Podcasts have been under immense pressure from their audience because they laughed at jokes on the Flagrant podcast, but not just any jokes. This one seems to be the one in particular. Take a listen.
Meghan Markle, she's cool, man. She's cool. She stole your gin. How you feel about that?
I'm here for it, bro.
I'm here for the multicultural.
Really?
Yeah,
Black
man.
girlfriend effect.
Yeah.
You're
into that.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle
She came in.
What's black girlfriend? They just come in and start fighting?
Nah, bro. Black girlfriend effect. She just.
Wait, what is the black girlfriend effect?
Oh, you might not know about this.
Glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend. All of a sudden, he's got buzz cut, like clean shaved.
Glows up, bro.
I like that.
I like that. They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit. That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
grow a beard because there's more cushion when they get slapped. God, I think the black girlfriend effect. It might be a protective instinct, bro.
You think?
Protective. Yeah. Have you ever had black girlfriends?
Yeah.
Have you ever had white girls?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. What's your favorite?
We love them all.
Yeah. Oh really?
We love them all.
Yeah. That means white. Yo, who gets translation? Kendrick fans.
Throughout the podcast, the jokes were all cultural based in that realm of this is a white guy, this is an Indian guy, you guys are black guys, but you guys are black guys from the UK and we have a black guy from America. So we're all just talking from that perspective. It's not really deeper than that, but that's
Okay, so give me a quick yes first off. Let me know you were able to hear and see that clip. If you're on Spotify, which by the way, this podcast is on Spotify. If you like intelligent black podcasts, then I hope you'll look us up. Boyce, just look up my name, Boyce Watkins. But also let me know, were you guys able to hear that and see that? Okay, give me a quick yes so we can have our discussion about it. Okay, thank you, Rudy Dolomite, and Rudy, that's a great name, Rudy Dolomite. That's awesome. Dupree Wade, good to see you. All right, so did y'all catch the points that were in there? So basically, he made a couple points, and then I'm gonna pass the ball to my wife because my wife has actually done lectures on the stereotypes, the major stereotypes of black women that have been around for hundreds of years. And so first off, what I picked up on, babe, was there was first this discussion about let's see what the comment about like they get the buzz cuts or something because their hair's falling out because dealing with black women can be so stressful. And then he said that when they grow the beard, it's to cushion them from being slapped, as if black women are more likely to be violent, more likely to hit you. And then he compares black women to white women. And when the guys say, we love them all, he says, oh, that means you like white women better. Your
He
thoughts?
didn't correct them either. And he's doing this podcast in the United States that they come and visit the United States.
Yeah,
They're
basically.
here in this country doing a podcast tour, and on their tour, they're going around having these conversations.
Yeah, it's like these two brothers. They've already apologized, by the way, which I think was a good move on their part. I don't have the
Yeah,
name of the podcast. It's like it's something weird, like shits and giggles or something. I don't know, but I mean, I probably
Okay.
said it wrong, but it's something like that. Anyway, they got checked immediately. Like
Yeah.
they immediately were like, "We're sorry, we didn't." And I think a lot of people like Ryan Clark, who I really respect, who's a former NFL player who has a great podcast called The Pivot. D1 was on there, our buddy D1. Ryan stepped in, was like, "Yo, you don't say this about black women. Like this is not appropriate." So, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so here, essentially, these are visitors. So they're visitors, like someone's visiting your house and they come into your house and then they insult your woman.
Mm.
So that's what's essentially happening. So they're coming to visit. We're trying to be gracious host, but their whole thing in trying to have this podcast to be funny is they come into your house and then they insult your woman. Okay, so that's the first thing.
But let me just clear that part up though.
Mhm.
Um, They didn't say anything. These two guys didn't say anything. The black guys didn't. The white boy
Wait,
was the one, because they were actually talking about the black girl effect in a positive way, and the white boy was the one who said, "Yeah, your hair's falling out because it's these
oh,
black
he
girls."
was the one who
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that.
So it's the white boy Andrew Schultz who made the comment, and what the black guys are being criticized for is
Not
just
saying
sitting
anything.
there and not correcting him.
Oh,
And
they laughed.
yeah, they were
I
giggling.
heard some laughter. Not one time. I mean, they could have said, "Hey, hold on." So, okay, all right. So they're inviting, okay, so that's a different context. I thought it was those two gentlemen, the British gentlemen that came here to United States and insulted us. How do you do that? But
Mhm.
no, the host let them come in, and then the host took that opportunity to just lash out at black women. And he's from America. He's from here.
Yeah, Andrew Schultz, the
Andrew
white boy
Schultz
who
is
made
from
the
here.
comment, that's Charlemagne's partner. And what Ryan Clark said was Ryan
Oh,
Clark actually called on Charlemagne, which I do as well. I call on
yeah.
because I haven't talked to Charlemagne for years, but he knows me. We know each other. I call on him also. Like, you need to correct your boy. Like this is not, because that's the thing. Like, we think
Mhm.
that money and laughs is makes everything okay. Nothing's out of bounds. And I got enough of a sense with Charlemagne. He has a black wife. Um, there's something about being a man in a community where you just can't be letting other people from other spaces come in and insult the
What you
women in
gonna
here.
do? What's
Right.
he gonna do? I mean, he
Exactly.
hasn't had a chance. This must have just happened, so he hasn't had a chance to
About 3
say
days ago.
anything. About 3 days ago, that's enough time to push out a statement.
Right.
I'm surprised because Charlemagne, he kind of comes across as pro-black in a
Well,
lot of ways.
I think he is. I think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like your assessment just as a professor who has taught classes
Okay.
on
Yeah.
black female stereotypes. You
Okay.
you you actually broke down the four major stereotypes of the black woman. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do want to talk about now that I understand like the context and what's happened here. Okay. So yeah, so there he is what he's doing is he's perpetuating the angry black woman stereotype
Mm-mm.
that and it's terrible. I mean, think about the angry black woman. What are all the things historically that black women can be angry about? The lynching of their husbands and their sons. They're angry about injustice and slavery and lynching and all of these things that black women are legitimately angry about. And instead of connecting to their pain because they've seen their husbands, their children, all of these things happen to them, okay, what you do is that you turn them into the aggressor. You make them become the angry black woman. So it has no compassion at all, no humanity in that at all. That stereotype comes out of the inhumane conditions of black people and black women's reaction to being wrongly um, treated and their family members being treated and having to witness all of these things. So the angry black stereotype is turned around and placed against the black woman like she doesn't have the right to be angry and making her pathological when the system of racism and white supremacy and privilege and all these things, that's really what's the tragic piece in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the angry black stereotype.
Okay. And then you
So
also
it's a lie.
and then I remember you informed me on like the Mammy and the Jezebel and the Sapphire, right? Like those that's
Yeah, so another stereotype is the mammy stereotype. And
Oprah. Yeah.
well, okay, so you mentioned Oprah. So the thing is that all black women in media usually they take on the characteristics of one or many of those stereotypes of black women, and it's because we do not own the media, right? Other people own the media, like this gentleman who have these negative stereotypes, negative images and portrayals of in their mind because out of slavery about black people in general. There's stereotypes of black men too, but for black women, that's all they see us in. It's oppressive. It puts us in a box. We're objectified and we're not seen in our totality. Who and what we really are, we're not seen. We're just seen through the lens of the stereotypes.
Mm, okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, like what that analysis did for me when you explained those four major stereotypes, it made me look differently at kind of how the world views black women. And then you're right, like people like Andrew Schultz. I'm
Hmm.
assuming Schultz, could. I'm not sure if he's Jewish or not, but his community owns a lot of media, which probably played some role in his success or his opportunities. I'm sure there's people out there that are funnier than him, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm making an assumption. But either way, though, they have these beliefs about black people, and if you bring a black person to the table, you're looking for one of those stereotypes. Like, it's a black man.
Not looking. You can't come to the table unless you sign up and agree to portray one of those stereotypes.
Okay. Well, Jay says Schultz is Irish. Okay, so he could be Irish, which unfortunately the Irish community has, some racism issues,
But you know what? Not the
especially in
people.
places like Boston.
I have heard of black people. That's really interesting. I've heard of black people going to Ireland and getting a lot of love in
Right.
Ireland because they hear about our struggle and they struggle just as much. So they kind of almost like relate to us in a lot of ways.
Mm.
The Irish, because of what the British did to them, it's like really awful
Yeah,
historically.
well,
But
and I think that what that speaks to is that you can't put a group of people in one box, right? I'm
hello.
sure I can meet I'm sure I can meet an Irishman who hates black people, and I can meet an Irishman who admires black people, right? Just like you can meet a black person who behaves according to the stereotype versus a black person who doesn't, right? So I think it's when you laid out those four stereotypes,
Well, I
it
just
helped
talked
me.
about two, but
Well, no, well,
oh, you're talking about in general. Okay,
yeah,
go
when
ahead.
you explain those to me,
Mm-hmm.
it helped me to understand. Like when I had such an issue with the record labels that had Lizzo kind of behaving in a way that I thought was not representative
Yeah.
of. You helped me. You were like, okay, she's doing this is the mammy stereotype, like the sort of big black woman that white people love, and
With a
then
smile on her face.
right, and then you have the was it
But
the
mhm.
sapphire? Is it wait, no, which one is the one that's it's like hypersexual? Is there which group would that?
Oh, the black horse stereotype.
Yeah,
She's both of them. She's how can you be the mammy and the black whore at the same time? But boy, she nailed it.
yeah,
She
yeah.
nailed that stereotype. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I think it's important to understand these things, right? Because a lot of us don't get it. Like we just think that's just being black, or oh, that's black culture, and it's very dangerous to fall into that trap because then next thing you know, you're starting to feel as a black person like, okay, because I don't fulfill a certain stereotype, I'm not black enough, or even other black people may not accept you, right? It like even
Yeah,
as a black.
because it's internalized. Of those stereotypes, we internalize them and we use it against each other. And it's so fascinating. Like it even happens in like romantic relationships. Even black men and black women, when they get together, they're looking at each other through those stereotypes.
Mm,
It's really sad to see, but it's what makes, black couples unique is how do these stereotypes play out in the relationship in how you relate to each other. So
yeah,
like if you're late with something, I'd be like, them black men sure can't come through for us. I can say something
right.
like that, which is not, it has nothing to do with a stereotype. You're just late. But here I am throwing these things at you, and it happens in our relationships.
Yeah. By the
Hmm.
way, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm a professor of finance. My wife is a professor of social work and a licensed therapist. And so, if you'd like to get to know more about what Dr. Alicia does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And what we do is we literally lay in our bed and we do pillow talk and try to have fun and thoughtful conversations about things happening in our community. So feel free to hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you want relationship advice from Dr. Alicia sent to you via text the word love to the number 87948. If you text love to 87948, she'll send you some stuff for free. All right, so here's the thing that's interesting about this, right? So we're talking about Andrew Schultz, the Irish comedian, and he's on a podcast where he makes a comment about black women, and basically they're talking about the black girl effect. And for those who just got here, he kind of just basically said black women were violent and that they stress you out. That being in a relationship with a black woman is stressful and violence. And maybe he's speaking from his experience, right? He sounds like a guy. I notice this. Like sometimes when you have white people that are really comfortable around us, they'll feel okay like saying certain things. Like they'll say, "Oh, I have a license from Charlemagne to talk about your women." And that's okay, right? And they don't understand that just because Charlemagne gave you a pass doesn't mean the whole community gives you a pass.
I doubt Charlemagne gave him a pass.
I think Charlemagne does, honestly. I
Oh,
think
really? Okay.
because the thing is that people are all enamored with fame and money. So the fact that Schultz has a decent sized platform, and I'm sure there's some financial benefit of that affiliation. People let a lot of stuff go because of money. You know, remember money, that's my thing. Like the psychology of money and what money does to people's mindsets, and how money will cause you to lower your standards, lower your values. You'll value, like there's nothing extraordinary about this weird looking, dorky looking white guy. But so when I saw him, I was like, okay, he's kind of funny, not that funny. There's nothing extra. He's not extraordinarily intelligent, but he must have some money behind him. He must have a big platform or something. And what tends to happen is that, when white people put a person on TV, we tend to think that they are more relevant than the people who are not on TV. Like, why do you think the whole Diddy thing is happening? Diddy has been a weirdo and a pervert and a goofball for 30 years, but we respected him as one of the most honorable black men in the community. He was telling,
I don't know if he's honorable.
not
Black.
honorable.
I don't see him in that
Well,
way.
when I say honorable, I mean he was on the cover of freaking Forbes. He was
Oh, they saw him.
They
that way.
celebrated him as a billionaire. He was telling black people who to vote for. He was building schools. Yet all the while he had 1,000 bottles of baby oil and dildos in his bathroom because he's so sometimes celebrity and money can cause us to really think a person is more relevant than they actually are.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, my kids are texting me.
Oh, okay.
They got me off.
Is everything okay with the kids?
I have no idea. It's homecoming weekend. It's a lot going on today.
A lot of big stress happening.
Let me tell you, I'm a busy mama. I can't take this.
And I'm in a house with full of y'all crazy black women. Maybe that's why I'm bald. Maybe that's why my hair's. I just talked to Andrew Schultz. Apparently, he's an expert on black women.
Really? Crazy black women?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
I ain't got no hair. It's y'all's fault.
Did you enjoy your dinner last night?
I did.
You ate
It was
through
good.
the hands of a black woman.
Yes, I did.
How about that?
Black women been feeding me since birth, so I know when to shut up.
Yeah.
Shout out to the black
So how
women who
about
take care
that?
of us. That's right. Yeah, actually, Coco made the food. It was really good.
Yeah, she made good job.
Yeah, it was great. So anyway, but so here's so speaking of, like, quality men who say, who are able to understand the world in a way that I think deserves respect. Ryan Clark, I don't have his image, but Ryan Clark made a statement about this, and I saw he did a video on Twitter. I wish I had the video. I don't have it, but I want to give a shout out to Ryan Clark, and he basically says he runs the podcast called The Pivot, and Ryan Clark is a former NFL player. I think he's won a Super Bowl. He's a really damn good player, and he's retired, and now he's got a great podcast. And he says, "I'm not sure what black woman experience Andrew Schultz has had, but it hasn't been the real black girlfriend effect. To insult black women and describe them as complainers and abusive isn't just untrue; it's disrespectful. Even worse, James Duncan and Fuhad Dawodu." Allowing him to say it is even more insulting. Andrew Schultz spoke that way in front of two black men because they allowed him to. They made him comfortable enough to disrespect black women because they didn't force him to respect them. My experience is that black women are powerful, beautiful, strong, and supportive. They prioritize black family, community, and culture. They take steps back to push their men and families forward. So no, Andrew, the black girlfriend effect is nothing like what you described. I'm just upset that you don't have enough solid black men around you to tell you differently. I got a thought.
It's not his place. It's not his place to speak on black anybody. If you are, if you are raised as some Irish white man, it's not your place to speak on it. And you haven't. That's not part of. You're not in it enough to even come up with something intelligent to say. All you're doing is, think about what makes a black woman hurt. What makes a black woman want to say, here are some needs that need to be met, and I want you to meet those needs? Why would you talk about complaining? Like, here's a black woman opening up her mouth and saying what she needs from you, and your response is stop complaining? Like, I don't understand that. How do you not value black women? Even in his experience, if he's dated a black woman and they're saying, okay, Boyce, I need this from you.
You're gonna look at me and say, "Stop complaining." Like I don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I got a take on what Ryan said. First off, I like Ryan Clark. I respect it, brother. And Ryan reminds me of the fact that I'm gonna just be biased and honest here. Solid black men can identify other solid men, and we also can identify flimsy men. Like we can tell. Like when I heard what Ryan said and how he described black women, it told me a lot about his family to the point where when I read his background about his mother and his father, hardworking, intelligent people, he didn't have to tell me any of that. I literally knew these things just by the way he made that statement because, Ryan is a guy who is um, interesting in the sense that it's like I saw immediately when he made that comment. I kind of knew what was going to happen. There were literally black men in the chat who were like,
What
"Oh,"
they say?
some of them called him soft because he
Wait,
defend.
he was soft
Yeah,
because he said
yeah.
positive things about black women.
Right, and this is how distorted the
Yeah.
community's gotten is that you have a lot of black men who feel okay insulting black women. And I think that's where the Andrew Schultzes come in and they say, well, your own men are dissing you, so I can diss you. Right. And that's where I love about Ryan Clark is that if he and I were to sit down and talk about our black wives, he and I, first of all, we have a license to talk about black women that a lot of men don't. A lot of men will not have not married a black woman, would not marry a black woman. You over married to Becky, and you up here talking about black women. You need to shut up. First off, just shut your damn mouth. You have no license to speak here. But if Ron and I were to sit and talk about our black wives and the nuances that come with being around black women, if we had a day where we were frustrated and complained, we would understand. It's like, yeah, I get it, man. You know how black women can be. But then if we sat around and praised black women and how they've come through for us, how they had our back, how they were on the front lines of so many struggles that we've had in our lives, personally and professionally and otherwise, he would get that too. Because the truth is that black women, like everybody else, they're not a monolith, right? There's a diversity, there's a spectrum, and what happens with stereotypes is you get reduced from being a human being with where there's a
Strips
variety
you of
of
your
outcomes.
humanity.
Right. It
Yeah.
strips you of your humanity and puts you in this stupid little box.
Mm-hmm.
And the Andrew Schultzes who come along and they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have me a black girl effect experience. If I date a black girl, she gonna get me fly, she gonna give me a fade, I'm gonna get a beard, or I wanna sleep with a black woman because I heard they do this and they do that. Well, a lot of times they're just picking women that fit whatever stereotype they have. Bill Maher was like that. Bill Maher was one of those guys who was real comfortable with black people to the point where he would say some crazy, disrespectful stuff. And you could tell he dated black women, but he always sort of would pick certain types of women that fit his little weird fantasy of what a black woman's like instead of seeing them as human beings who are diverse. Right. So I like what Ryan said. Last thing I'm gonna say about Ryan that's really interesting. When he said that, I want y'all to peep out this last one. I like to read between the lines. Let me just point this out real quick. I gotta point this out. At the end, he said, I'm just upset that you don't have enough solid black men around you to tell you differently.
So he's talking about the other.
He's talking to
He's
Charlemagne.
talking about Charlotte.
He's talking to Charlemagne. He's like, you punk. Yeah, and remember, Ryan is not a punk. Ryan is a football player. He was one of the hardest hitters in the NFL. He won a Super Bowl and he played defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mindset. He defends things. That's what you did. If the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was one of the toughest defenses in the
Oh,
NFL.
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's his mind. That's his defender mindset, stepping up and saying, "What's wrong with you, you little punk?" He's just being diplomatic, and I'm the one who becomes politically incorrect. So I want to be, and I hope Ryan doesn't get upset about this because I don't even know if he knows me or not. I've never met the guy, but I like him. But I think that's what he's saying. He's saying defend your women, defend your people. That's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, that's an interesting
I'll let
play
you
on
respond.
words. I
Yeah.
didn't really recognize that.
And you
Wait,
can
what are you
you can
doing?
reply. I gotta run to the bathroom. You
You
can
gonna run to the
yeah.
bathroom? You gonna leave me
give
here
your
by
response.
myself? Okay. Okay, so what do y'all think? Bill Maher was with Superhead. Oh my gosh. So he was with certain types. Um, let me see. Okay, what y'all think? I feel more comfortable talking to someone. So stereotypes of black women. I went through two. So let me go through the last two. The last two is the first two I went was the angry black woman. I went with the black whore. The black whore comes from slavery. And out of slavery, During slavery, Black women were sexually assaulted and they were raped. And what happened, and they were raped by white men. And so when the white women would know, they would realize that their husbands were raping Black female slaves. What they did, instead of putting their anger toward their husbands who were raping Black women, what they did was they blamed the women for being raped. They said, if you would just dress appropriately, if you wouldn't walk around in this way, provoking my husband to rape you, it's your fault that you're being raped.
Ooh.
And so that sort of thinking is where the Black whore stereotype comes out of. It comes
Wow.
out of that. So that's the third stereotype. Um, and what's the other stereotype? Oh, gold digger. That you just all you're interested.
Is the sapphire the same as a gold digger?
The sapphire is the angry Black woman
Okay.
stereotype.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So it's kind of like the gold digger. You're just shallow. You're not interested. You're not really interested in a man for who and what they are. You just want to get what you can get. So that's
Mm.
the other stereotype.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so stop stereotyping each other. We can't do that. By the way, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And if you want a free copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can actually go to boyceandalicia.com. We're into all topics related to uh, money, mental health, relationships, and just things that are going to help our community. We want to see you live your best life, man. That's what we believe in. And also, you can follow Alicia on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. So if you like intelligent Black content, she provides that on a regular basis. She's very good at what she does. So anyway, all right. So let's sort of close this up. I'm gonna make sort of a final remark on this. So we were talking about Andrew Schultz, the comedian, and I know he's a comedian. I know that comedians, take risks, and I know comedians like to be edgy and controversial. But I think that beneath that desire to be edgy and controversial, there are just certain red lines you can't cross. Like I think that he would understand there's certain jokes you cannot make about Jewish people. Like you could not make a joke about the Jewish community during World War II or involving Hitler or something and think that they're gonna just let that slide. So I think with Black people there should be red lines where you just say, look, man, be funny, but don't be getting too funny because we're gonna get funny with you if you start acting like that, right? And these brothers here, they've apologized, right? I don't know the name of their podcast, but they're from England, and they have their Black experience in London, and I love the Black people in England. Remember we had a great time.
Yeah. These two men, do not represent the Black men I've met in London, who have
Mm,
been they came across to me as extremely respectful. I don't know what's going on in their heads,
mhm.
but they were very respectful when we were there.
Well, and I feel like these
Yeah.
guys, were respectful in the sense that
Nah.
no, listen, let me explain. Let me explain. I read their apology and I kind of saw, and it seemed like they were like, "Oh shit, we messed up," right? And they're young, and I think that there should be some grace. Now they're gonna be apologizing for you. They need to do an apology tour now,
And about they need to change their
right? And I
sure.
don't think it was built around like, "Oh gosh, we got to just say this to get it out." I think that they apologized because they knew genuinely they messed up, and they were probably a little nervous and laughed at something they shouldn't have laughed at. Because I did that. One time my father chewed me out. I was on this ESPN show years ago. Stephen A. Smith used to have a show called Quite Frankly with Stephen A. Smith, and I was on the show with Method Man, the rapper, and Meth started saying something ignorant, and I just kind of laughed along because because it's awkward. You don't want to be you're nervous. You're on TV and whatever. And my father called me. My father was like, I was like, so did you see the interview? He's like, yeah. And I was like, what'd you think? He said, I didn't like it. I said, why not? He said, because you should never. He said, don't be. He said you were laughing along. He said you never agree with ignorance. You don't agree with ignorance.
Mhm.
And that was him setting me straight. And so I do have empathy and grace for these guys because I get a sense that they're like really trying to say that they're sorry. Now maybe if they have a trend of disrespecting Black women, then that's another thing. I don't know of any such thing. There's some guys that have Black guys that have a podcast. Oh, there's a lot of Black podcasters, Black male podcasters who literally have built
Who
their
trash Black women?
well, they built their whole career around providing a highly imbalanced, a constant criticism of Black women because they know Black women are an easy target. And I have a problem with that because I think that as a man, you can express your frustrations without being just fundamentally and consistently, deliberately disrespectful. So, now let's see.
Yeah. So what am
Oh,
I?
go ahead, babe.
I got parting words. My
Hmm.
parting words is that here we are coming up on a presidential election where you do have a black woman running for president. And I think,
You have a Jamaican and Indian woman.
stop it, boys.
She's not African. She's not a descendant of slavery.
Can I please stop? Would you please stop and let me say something?
Yes.
Okay, here you have a black woman who is running for president. And I predict that there's going to be, just like there was an Obama effect, backlash. There's going to be, well, it was backlash when Barack Obama ran. He was biracial also. So the first black president, male president, I think with Kamala possibly winning this election, we don't know. I really do predict that there's going to be more backlash for against black women if Kamala wins. I really do predict that.
I can see that. Well,
Yeah.
Kamala to me is I don't call her black per se. I call her non-white, right? And I do
Hmm.
think that non-white is gonna get a backlash, and I will give her
I think
that.
it's going to come
Oh,
for black women. I don't think it's going to be for anybody else but black women.
for backlash coming from
The
black women
black, no, the
or towards?
backlash is
Oh, you
coming
think that they're gonna have a
for
backlash
us.
against black women
I
because
really
y'all look
do.
like you look Kamala like?
Yeah, because no, you can think that maybe she's not black, right? You say she's non-white, but how it's going to be seen by the public? She's going to be seen as a black woman who is president, and
Mhm.
therefore it's going to be a backlash. That's my prediction.
Well, she's interesting because she's racially ambiguous enough that she can get into the halls of power. If you notice,
Mm-hmm.
they don't, if Kamala would not be running for president if she looked like Wesley Snipes.
You're wrong for that.
Really,
Okay.
no, really. If she was like pitch black, just
Well, maybe
clearly
because she's married
like,
to a white woman,
well,
a
yeah,
white
yeah.
man.
I mean, the white husband, all that fits into the narrative. The white
Hmm.
Jewish husband. Let's just be clear. So, that's what tends to happen whenever black people get to that level. They're not usually African American descendants of slaves. They don't want to deal with those people.
Okay,
We,
but
we're,
all
we're
of
we're
that is
considered
true.
dangerous. We're dangerous to them.
All of that is true. But that aside, can we listen, can y'all understand levels? There's levels to this, right? There's levels to this. Let's just put the politics aside. Let's just put your nuances to the side. The thing is that if we do have a female black president, and that's what she's going to be seen as, let's just take away the nuances. That's my prediction, that there's
Mhm.
going to be a backlash
Yes.
because black women are not respected in America like they should be.
I do agree, and but I
Yes.
also think that there should be room to respect those who've gotten past this idea that you should support anything black that they put in front of
Now
you on
that's
the street,
true. I
right?
agree
And
with that.
that's so anything that's a black Democrat, we're supposed to automatically support it. Anything that's a black Republican, we're supposed to say, "Oh, you're a sellout," and I don't like that at all. I think that that limits our freedom.
It
I'm not.
does.
I do not agree with the idea of us living in a one party system as
Mhm.
black
I'm
people.
not going to vote for you just because you black.
Right.
I'm
Right.
not just not going to do that. I'm going to look at the issues. We've already talked about this.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And what values closely adhere to my values. That's what I'm going to vote for.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. So yeah, so we can debate on Kamala, but I look forward to seeing an African American descendant of slavery as president one day. We still have not had that.
Yeah,
Like
that would be great.
they specifically selected Barack specifically because he didn't have that lineage. If he'd had that lineage, he wouldn't have got that opportunity.
He would not have. But he
Yeah.
was still a black man who was president of the United States, and there was a backlash. I witnessed a backlash.
There was a backlash, and he
Hmm.
was good for America, in my opinion, in the sense that, um, he's articulate. He just he presented so well, and I thought
Oh,
that
he still
I
presents well.
he did a very good job for America.
Oh, great.
I'm not impressed with what he did for Black people per se.
No, I mean, he kept those systems going very
Yeah,
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did the job of the presidency, you
Well,
know.
I compare. I look at a Barack Obama in a way. It's almost. I look at him like if you got a family where you're starving and you're really hungry, and one of your relatives gets a really good job at the Ford plant, and he
You're
becomes
happy for him.
right, you're happy for him, and he does a great job, and you're really proud of him. But let's say he doesn't send any money home. He gets the good job at Ford, and everybody at home is talking about how proud of him they are because he's got the good job at Ford. But nobody in the house benefits from him having that job.
And they and why should they?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
inspiring enough to make me want to apply.
maybe, maybe.
Maybe I too can be president of the United States.
Right, right. And then you have the Hunger Games. If y'all watch, if you watch the Hunger Games in detail, you'll see that that's all that is. It's literally we maintain our oppression by picking a couple of people out of the oppressed group and then
to
parading
prop
them.
up.
Yeah, prop them up and parade them as like a symbol of hope. That's why that word hope is so powerful.
Yeah, I don't need hope. I got enough hope on my own. I do not like inspirational speakers,
Mm,
like speakers who come and inspire me, get on my nerves.
mm,
I like speakers I like speakers like you boys.
mm.
You're the kind of speaker, you're giving me information. I want some information I can use. I don't need anybody to hype me up, to give me some hope. I definitely don't need inspiration. I get that from inside.
Well, I also like, and also when I speak, I like to provide solutions and a plan, a
Yes.
strategy. I don't want to just get us all pumped up over
I don't
nothing.
want to be pumped up.
Right,
That
right.
irritates me. It even irritates me in boot camp when they're like, "Good job." I'm like, "Shut up." It's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. This hurts. My body hurts. I don't need a good job. I need like cuss words going
Well,
on.
you know, and I actually I'll say this. I think that that's what leads me to admire your success is that that's the difference I noticed because because I've before we got married, I had other relationships and stuff. And what I like about you is you are a doer. If I make a plan, I say let's do this by Friday, you'll be getting it done.
I do
Like
get
that,
it done.
you be
Now, let me tell you, it's not perfect. And
that's
I
okay.
do be messing up sometimes. But hey, I messed up. I learned from it. But I dive right on in the deep
Yeah,
end.
yeah, and that's what I'm gonna tell you that I can't tell you how many people I meet who will come to they'll go to the seminar, get all pumped up, get riled up, talk all day about everything they're gonna do, and
And do
God's gonna
nothing.
guide them to to success, and they're gonna fight through it, and then they don't follow up.
They
They
go
don't.
back to their old ways.
Right. It's a lie. It's
Yeah.
a over reliance on emotional arousal and not a reliance on discipline. The motivation will get you to the motivation will help you take the first step. The discipline will help you take the other 9,999
Oh
that's
my
required to get
God.
there.
Black people. Now I'm talking about black people.
See, listen to you, straight
Black
stereotypes.
people. So be
It-
loving a nice sermon.
we like a good
We
sermon.
like a good sermon.
We like a good motivational speech, and I think all that can
I
serve.
can't stand it.
I
If
don't.
I went to church and like a preacher like started doing a sermon to rile up the crowd, I would get really annoyed.
Well, the
I
funny
don't
thing.
know why I cannot sit through speeches like that.
Well, you know what? Preachers are some of the best speakers I've ever heard, especially the real good ones. And
Yeah.
what's crazy about it is like if you're an analytical thinker and
Like
you
me.
right and you really analyze like what they're saying, you'll realize like
They ain't saying
some of
nothing.
the pastors literally will spend a whole hour saying absolutely nothing and
Absolutely
have the whole
nothing.
church jumping up and down.
I'd be like, oh my God, I can't. I just can't with the
And
church.
Jesus
I'm
said that we gonna climb the rock.
Let me tell you,
He said that we gonna climb it.
I can't
He
stand
didn't
it.
say we gonna climb down. He said we gonna climb up.
Oh my God. I used to go to church.
We're gonna climb up in the sky.
Let me tell you, I used to go to church and I know people probably be like, she's a heathen, but I used to go to church and then one day I was like, Alicia, you wake up early Monday through Friday. You wake up early on Saturday. The one day you're gonna wake up early just to sit here for some inspiration that you really don't need.
Mm.
And it just bothered me so much. And I don't know why. I just don't like church is good for the people that it helps, but there's certain people that just don't need it. I just don't feel like I need it.
But
And
you,
that's something that I don't
but you gotta
share. I've
remember.
now shared with everybody, but I don't share
But
that.
Alicia, but then Jesus climbed the rock,
Yeah,
and he kept
Jesus can
climbing,
keep on climbing that rock.
and he went up. He didn't go down.
I don't need
He
that.
didn't go in a circle. He didn't go sideways.
I need to sleep in.
Yeah, but that's what I found to be real interesting. Same thing is true with rappers, which rappers are basically preachers. They just maybe their
I
religion is
can't with the
can
raps.
become more demonic like Diddy. But no, seriously though, like rappers, the again, same thing I would do with pastors where I analyze exactly what's coming out of your mouth to see what I'm learning.
Yeah.
The same thing's true with artists. Like I'll listen, I'll read their lyrics and I'll listen. And a lot of times we get so caught up in the beat and the music that we're not hearing. Like I'm like,
They have nothing to say.
either they have nothing to say or they're saying something that's like horrible. Because I remember talking to somebody about a Lil Wayne lyric, and I said, "You do know that he just said that he was gonna have sex with you and then chop up your dead body and mail it back to your ex boyfriend." You know, like, does that not concern you? It's like, no, but it's got a nice beat.
Well, listen, the thing with Little Wayne is so interesting. He really is a genius.
Yes.
Because how could he put out all of that music and write all that stuff? As terrible as it was, he put out a lot of music. Like a lot. I couldn't believe, like, I was actually like digging into it. Like he was writing song after song, album after album, hit after hit. Like he was really just something was coming through him that was just like a lyrical vomit that he was doing for a long time. Now the content of his stuff is just horrific.
Well, Lil Wayne is a preacher.
Is he? Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
he's a pastor. That represents the gospel of black self destruction.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, like
He's spitting the lyrics.
but that's what it is. It's like unfortunately because of the trauma he went through. I mean, little boy, I think he got shot when he was 11 years old or something.
Yikes.
So he spent most of his life sort of unfortunately using his tremendous power in a way that is not gonna help, not beneficial to the community, which is why I was very happy that Jay-Z took a stand and picked Kendrick Lamar for the Super Bowl and not Lil Wayne, because unfortunately, as much talent as he has, talent can't be your only criteria for who
Well,
you
Little
select.
Wayne is not happy about that. I would have been cringe. I think Little Wayne in front of a Super Bowl audience would have been a little too much for the audience.
Yeah, I think
It
so.
just wouldn't have
But
come across.
but you know what? I think that what they're gonna probably do is they're gonna probably include him, because I don't think you can just leave New Orleans artists off because their contribution was so impactful. Also, I would love it if they brought D1 in there. Like, I mean, D1's from New Orleans.
D1 would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick shouted him out in this song, and I was like, huh, I wonder if he's shouting him out because he's kind of
Kendrick should bring
helping to elevate his profile. Because I mean, D's, he's our buddy. D's like a relative for us, and I love it. I love him a lot. He's a great guy, and I love the fact that he has the courage to just say, like, hey, can't we still have fun with hip hop and be great at hip hop without allowing others to use hip hop to destroy us? He understands how the money for other people, other communities use money to get black people to take the gun of hip hop and turn it to our own face.
Y'all gotta listen to D1's new album. We were listening to it. Me and the kids were listening to it. He's got some really good. There's like 2 or 3 songs that I'm like listening to over and over again.
Well, I bet you
I
if
love.
I bet if you looked at the discography of D1 and
Uh-huh.
in terms of how much music he's put out and compare it to Lil Wayne, I bet you it's similar. I bet D has put
Oh,
out
I don't know.
I
Lil
bet,
Wayne was
I bet D has put out more music than Lil Wayne. And also, yeah, and D told me a funny story where he said, I made a comment on Vlad TV where I said D1 and Lil Wayne are actually similar. They're just dark and light sides of the same culture. I said, yeah, they
interesting.
both have dreads, they both have that New Orleans accent, but one raps about horrible things, the other one raps about positive things. So this shows the power of hip hop. It can be used as a positive or a negative. And do you know, I didn't even know this until it was done, but D1 went and made a whole album on what I said.
That's
Yeah, and he
right.
had his picture, his baby picture next to Lil Wayne's baby picture, and I think he called it "Separated at Birth," and it was so brilliant. He took all of the Cash Money Records beats and rapped over them with positive lyrics to see what that would sound like. And he said he could not put out the album because
They wouldn't let him.
Lil Wayne's people found out about it, and they called D's record label. I guess he was with Epic at the time, and and they basically said we can't put this out because we're gonna get sued.
I wonder if he could eventually get the clearance for that album to release
I need
because
him to send it to me.
that would be so great.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it'd probably be some copyright violations. You
I,
all
I
violate
want, I want to hear it. I never got a chance to hear it, and I was so flattered. I was like, "You did all that because I made one little
You
comment."
gotta text them when we're done. Text them and ask them to send the album
We
over.
got
We
to,
all
we
want to
got to
have a
have an
listening.
album release party.
Could you play it at the convention?
I might try.
Ain't nobody gonna stop us. Who's
D,
gonna stop you? It's your convention.
I wish D could come to the convention this year.
He can't make it.
No, he can't make it this
Oh,
year.
but then we gotta play his music.
We will. Well, D1 is that's a great guy. He's a great. If y'all don't know who D1 is, you need to look him up. He's a great
We gotta hang
human
out.
being. He's very talented, and we love him and we respect him. And he was actually on Ryan Clark's podcast, The Pivot, and that was a perfect connection. When I love to see great men like that get together because those are the men that are going to lead our families and our communities out of the darkness. Those are the men that are going to make Black people great again, because they're tough, they're
Mm-hmm.
fearless. You know, Ryan won a Super Bowl. D has
Okay.
D will take on anybody, anywhere, anytime. And so they got the courage, but also they have an understanding of structure and what our community is supposed to be. So that's why I have a lot of admiration for those guys, and I just applaud them in every way. So anyway, all right. So
Okay.
let's
We're
hop on
done.
out. Yeah, it's
We're
time
not
for
even talking about the
we're gonna
topic.
take our morning nap. So anyway, guys, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. If you want a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, you can actually go to boyceandalicia.com. And also, if you want to check out what Dr. Alicia does or make an appointment, she is a therapist. Feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. And then last but not least, we do economic elevation training. I do this every single day because I want you to get your money right. I want you to understand finances. I want you to understand investing. So I do it every single day at 10 a.m. for free to anybody in the community
It's
who
free?
wants to listen. Yes, you don't have to pay money, but you got to pay attention. So if you want to join us and get an invite, we're going to start at 10 a.m. this morning Eastern. Just text the word morning, morning, to the number 87948, and I will send you an invitation. Text morning to 87948. So you guys have a great day. God bless you, and thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye, everyone.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Come on in. Come on in. Great to see everybody. Welcome to Money in the Morning. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I got up this morning, and I'm sorry to say that I was not in the 5 a.m. club. I got up super early yesterday, went to the gym, and did a lot of weightlifting and running and all that stuff. And today I decided to give myself a rest day. Because I don't know, I'm sleeping next to the most beautiful woman in the world, so I thought that it would be nice to kind of cuddle with her for a little bit. And so, but then again, that was part of the plan, right? I think that you should have a balance between working hard and being nice to yourself. Work hard and play hard, because I think that's what gives you a happy life. So today I played hard a little bit. Anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. And speaking of playing hard, sometimes you may come by my YouTube channel and see me kicking it with the brothers and actually playing Call of Duty. I found a group of really cool brothers between ages 30 and 55 that love to play video games like I used to. And I got into it because I wanted to hang out with our son a little bit more, because I've been teaching him stuff like stock options and all that. And when you're a bonus dad, you find every way you can to connect with the kids. So we bonded around money and video games, and so I learned how to play Call of Duty because I wanted to give us something to talk about. And I love this so much that I just said I'm gonna keep on playing because this game is fun. So every now and then, what I'll do is I'll go on my YouTube channel, Dr. Boyce TV.com, and I'll be playing Call of Duty, but I'll be talking. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about politics and sports and money, so if you ever wanted to sneak in and ask me a question, that's a good time to come in and ask me a question. Come in and hang out. In fact, there's one doctoral student, Jordan Cagle, that I did an interview with, and he's doing really great work with Black boys. I don't know if Jordan's in here today or not, but I really had a lot of respect for him, and he was in the chat, and he came in and played with us, and we just had a blast. So I'm telling you, if you haven't ever tried it, you don't know what you're missing. But if you ever want to come by and hang out and see what we're up to, feel free to come by the channel. It's actually kind of fun. I just had to explain that because some people are like, why are you having fun? You're supposed to be talking about finance. I'm like, I don't talk about finance all day, every day, fool. Like I live my life. I'm a human being. Or on my Instagram, people are like, why would you post that? You're a professor. You shouldn't I'm like, well, because I'm a guy. I'm a human being. I'm a Black man. I'm a dude. I just do regular dude stuff. But then also I happen to have a PhD in finance. But you know, if somebody works at UPS, you ain't delivering packages 24 hours a day. Am I lying? Give me a guess if you understand where I'm coming from. You know, if you work at Ford, you're not working on Ford motor trucks 24 hours a day. So no, I have fun. And also the other thing that's really cool about life in the internet and social media is that you know it kind of makes itself conducive to the point where conducive to the idea that you can just talk to people. You know, I like just talking to you. I mean, sure, I can share knowledge and information, everything else. And again, if you want to drill into that stuff, I'm loaded with all kinds of information that can help you. There's stuff that I do for myself financially and for my family and my wife um that I am happy to share with you. In fact, later on today at noon, we're doing a stock options income event for beginners. So if you want to come by at noon, I'll give you guys the link where you can actually come on in. It's called Prime 101. It's kind of for beginners. And then actually, if you are in the Prime program, I encourage you to come to class on Monday. You got to come to class on Monday because I ran the numbers on one of the options income strategies. And what I found is that you can actually make your portfolio much safer. You know how you have the ups and the downs, and it's really hard to kind of deal with the volatility. Well, I found that you can make your portfolio super safe and still generate a really high ROI, like a really high profit on your options business. So I hope you guys will join us on Monday if you're in the Prime program. If you're not in the Prime program, I'll send you guys a link to do a $1 trial if you want to try it out for a month, and it's $3.99 per month after that. So, but the goal is, this isn't like college where you go and you spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars and they give you nothing in return. What I want you to kind of measure is ask yourself this basic question. Am I making more money than it cost me to be in this program? If the answer is yes, then that's a definite. And if you don't, if you don't expect at some point that you can make more than you're spending, then that doesn't make sense for you. So I want you to be in a position where you say, yeah, this isn't free. This does cost some money, but it's a fair price. It's because I see people charging tens of thousands of dollars for stuff, and I would just be really careful about that because a lot of people are really good at kind of getting you hyped up to sign up for something, and you're not really getting the kind of value that they promise, and they charge insane amounts of money, and especially when you talk about stocks and options, a lot of these people just aren't qualified. To be honest with you, like, they don't. I can identify quickly if somebody knows what they're talking about with the stock market. And there are some people who literally will take one class on stocks and say, I can show you everything you need to know about stocks, but they don't really understand what's going on. So anyway, if you want to join us today at noon, you can sign up at Prime 101. I'll send you guys the link. I don't have the URL. Actually, I'll put something in the chat if you guys want to join us today. I think I have the $1 trial link, and you guys can try that out. And also, if you are already in the class and you're looking for stuff, don't forget you got a really great support team. We have an excellent support team. The email address is support@theblackbusinessschool.com. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. So feel free to reach out to them if you can't find something, you're looking for something. I'm trying to find this dollar trial. Here we go. Here's the code if you want to do a dollar trial in the program. Some of you have been thinking about it, you've heard about it. And some of you are already in it. And so if you, whatever your true honest feelings are about the program so far, feel free to share that in the chat because I don't want, there's no hocus pocus here. This is not hype. This is all substance. It's not built to be flashy. But there's a lot of opportunity there when it comes to options. In fact, I'll tell you guys this. When I showed my son, finally, how your kids don't listen to you. Kids, like, you can literally have the keys to like the universe and your children just will not listen to you, and they'll listen to like some stupid person on the street before they listen to you. Just know you're not alone. Like I go through this too. My our kids, me and my wife, they don't even know. First of all, our kids don't even realize how rare it is to have two college professors as parents in your house. Like I didn't meet a college professor. I didn't meet a black college professor or any college professor until I was like 19 years old. And so the fact that they have two black college professors in their house that rate is very rare. But it's funny because they think that that's just normal. So we'll try to explain stuff to them and they'll just be like, yeah, whatever, right? And so anyway, I finally got the oldest to start listening because he's now at the age where he needs money. And I was like, well, if you want me to, I can show you how I make money. It's actually easy. It's easier than like whatever that crappy job is that you have. And he was like, okay, I'm ready to learn. So we sat down and I showed him We were talking. We were messing around with like Starbucks stock, and then there was another stock. I forgot what it was, and I just kind of showed him. And after we got done, he got super excited about it. And he was, and I was like, yeah, if you're still listening, I can tell you some more stuff that I think will help you, or I can wait until you're like 30 years old and tell you after you've made a bunch of mistakes. And he's like, well, I'd like to know right now. So what I explained to him is I said, one thing you got to know about America and life in general is that the people that make the most money in this country are the people who work the least. It's not that they don't work; they just work differently, right? Wealthy people, it's not that they're all a bunch of lazy bums and sit around and just drink lattes and champagne all day. They just work differently. They have a different kind of layout. Their financial awareness is just slightly different in the sense that your awareness is driven partly also by your exposure. So because so if you're born in a family where you're exposed to the banker, exposed to the real estate portfolio, exposed to the businesses, exposed to the stock market, then you're gonna kind of think about wealth in a different way than somebody who was just exposed to a job, who was like, okay, that's Mr. Charlie over there. Make sure you're nice to him and make sure you fill out 50 job applications, and then somebody will give you some work. Somebody will, and that awareness affects culture. We've talked about this. It affects also the standards that you set for yourself in terms of what you hope to achieve economically. So I talked to a brother the other day. Actually, I think it was the doctoral. No, it was either the doctoral student. I get it mixed up, or another guy, a really great guy named Kyle that I met out of California, and he's a businessman and he's doing really well. He does stuff in cybersecurity and IT, doing extremely well in his business. And we did a one-on-one consultation because he's looking to transition over and make money without having to get up and go to work every day. And he was telling me that one challenge that he has with young people that he talks to is when he's trying to expose them to, for example, all the money that's being made in cybersecurity, which is a growing industry. Lord Jesus, I mean, with AI, cybersecurity is going to be huge, and he'll try to get them started on it. But a lot of them, all they really want is to get some little the guard card. He said they call it, where you can become a security guard. So he said about 80% of the black males that he works with, I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but he said 80% of the black males that I try to talk to about economic opportunities, all they want to do is work in a warehouse or become a security guard. And that's because of what they were exposed to. That's a consciousness cultural issue. And so really, if you really want your kids to just kind of to be in a good spot, you got to expose them to things. Maybe expose them to me, bring them to class or something. They can kind of hear different ideas and standards, like what the standards and expectations are. That really shapes how far you go. I think that a lot of where you go is really shaped by whether you think big or you think small, where you tend to apply your effort and your energy. I know a lot of people, and it's not just about intelligence level or education. I was in academia and I knew some of the smartest people on the freaking planet with, doctorates and straight A students and all this stuff. And I can't tell you how many times I met super smart people who were broke and struggling because they think small. Like, right. Like, so for example, what they do to us in academia, the way they brainwash us in academia is they train you to put all your intellectual energy into solving some tiny little problem. Like you might be a person who is an expert on infertile worms from Ecuador or something, right? Just something so tiny and obscure that 99.9% of the world doesn't give a damn about what you're working on. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right? So if you're a researcher on infertile worms from Ecuador, I'm not disrespecting what you do, but what people forget is that the training is almost like a pyramid. For you to get to that point where you can really analyze whether a worm from Ecuador is going to be able to have children or not. I don't even know if worms have kids. This is an analogy I'm literally making up as we go along. You have to learn a lot about biology. You have to learn a lot about science. You have to do a lot of processing of high level information in a lot of fields to be able to narrow in on that specific tiny little niche that you're in. So if you get caught to the point where you're mentally trapped in your niche and you don't see all the other amazing skills that you've developed along the way, then that can put you into a horrible, ugly economic trap where you end up like a lot of people I know that have advanced degrees, PhDs and stuff, who are literally on welfare. Like there are college professors that are on welfare. There are professors at major universities that can barely pay the bills. Or definitely like community college professors, maybe who went to great schools, worked extremely hard, spent a lot of years in school, and are making the same amount of money as a McDonald's manager. I think that should challenge you a little bit in the sense that it doesn't mean that you're goofy, stupid, or that you wasted your time. I'm not here to say that at all. I don't want you to feel bad, but I want you to know your worth. I want you to understand that sometimes we think that we have no value because the place where we're applying our value doesn't see our value. Right? I'm showing up speaking eloquent Chinese, just extremely wonderful Mandarin, but you only understand Spanish, so you're telling me that I'm speaking gibberish, and I believe you. I'm like, well, damn, all these years I spent studying Chinese is a waste of time because to the people that matter to me, they think it sounds like gibberish. Or almost like being in a relationship where you could be the greatest catch in the world. You could be the most beautiful woman on the planet, but your man is like, I don't like skinny women. I don't like thin girls. I want them big. And so you're kind of gross to me. And so you think you're gross because your man likes the big girls. And then you don't realize that there are men out here that love a thin woman. Right. So the same thing is true in professionally speaking. A lot of us get in the economic trap where we don't understand how to extract the value out of the skill set that we've developed, and we become beholden to the people that we're dependent upon to extract that value for us. Meaning, if I'm a PhD and I've spent all these years in school and I've hustled my butt off, studied 8, 9, 10 hours a day for the last 6, 7 years, and then my university doesn't see my worth and they don't want to pay me right, or they want to get rid of me, then I feel like I have no worth. I think that's a problem. I think that is that's a consciousness issue. It's kind of a self-esteem issue. It's one of these things that requires some thought, some financial consciousness and meditation for you to realize that you are incredibly valuable. You're smart. You know how to do stuff. You know how to learn things. Your capacity for consuming knowledge and applying it is extraordinary. Your work ethic is amazing. How the hell can you tell me that somebody who's super smart, super well trained, can learn anything at lightning speed and works their ass off isn't worthy, isn't valuable, economically speaking? You're valuable. You just aren't applying the value in a place where your value is going to be appreciated. So that might mean going out and expanding your skill set. One thing I had to do was, I was sitting there and I was actually paid pretty well by my university. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I had haters on the Syracuse University campus because when I came in, because I was a superstar, I was the only African American on the planet to get a PhD in finance that year. I had the highest salary amongst all the assistant professors, and I made more money than all the associate professors, which was a notch above. That was the associates who had tenure. I made more money than all of them too. Right? So you want to talk about a black boy getting hated on? I mean, I didn't even understand it at that time. I assumed everybody loved everybody, but when I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, if I was him, I would have been mad at me too. So I was making good money, but the thing was, I didn't like the way I was treated. I didn't like the fact that they didn't appreciate the work I wanted to do for the African American community. I didn't like the fact that every time I did something that was extra black, I would get punished. I would be celebrated in the black community, but punished in my white community, in the white space. So I said, I got to get the hell up out of here. These people, this is terrible. And so one thing I remember feeling like is I said, wait a minute, hold on. If I'm supposed to have all this education, I started realizing that most business school professors have never run a business. And most business school professors don't know how to make money without getting a paycheck. And I said, that's kind of a contradiction. That's a bit of an oxymoron. I need to fix that. That's kind of weird that I can only pay my bills if this person's feeding me financially, if they're giving me this check. So I said, how do people pay their bills without a job? So I started researching that. I started listening to podcasts of people who don't go to work every day but still make money. I started, kind of really thinking carefully about my own limitations in terms of what I was and was not taught. And it led me to think about culture and just how the job culture had been so deep in my experience and deep in my family. And I said, no, I'm rebelling against that. We're going to escape that, because the thing is, if you are able to pay me money for my skill set, then I should be able to also pay myself. I should be able to also extract just as much wealth out of me as you can extract out of me, right? So my point is to say that I think sometimes when we don't have the right exposure and the right experience, we can really limit ourselves, and that's how you have these really hardworking, intelligent people who end up becoming like, warehouse guards or something because that's all that they were exposed to. I would argue, in fact, that I would rather be a person of average intelligence who thinks big than to be a genius who thinks small. If you're a genius who thinks small, you're not going to accomplish much. You're going to do very small things really, really well. Right? So you're going to do small things that no one cares about, and you're going to be really damn good at it. It's almost like me counting the number of tiles in the ceiling in my house or something, right? Or the number of cracks. 2,347,842 tiny micro cracks in the ceiling. That's hard to do, but it doesn't necessarily add value. It's a tiny task, but it's done extremely well. So I would almost say that if you are wise and you're trying to expand your thinking economically, you got to push yourself outside the box a little bit. And I think you have to maybe start with this premise that you don't know nearly as much as you need to know. And that and then also an added premise would be that there are people out there that know what I need to know. So I'm going to go out into the world and listen and hear enough stories and see enough experiences and get enough exposure to expand my thinking. But then also I'm not going to limit my kids in their thinking. So it's because I sat there and I just was telling our son the other day, I was like, dude, to be honest with you, I said, if I'd known what at your age, what I know now, I don't even think I would have went to college. I would have went to the best entrepreneurship program I could possibly find and did a year of intense training in how to run a business, maybe 2 years, whatever. I definitely wouldn't have spent 8, 9, 10 years trying to get a PhD so I can get a great job. I literally would have spent 2 years as a black man, based on where my experience would be as a black man, where you don't get the same opportunities, you don't get the same jobs. I don't believe these white folks like us that much. I just don't. And I'm not offended by it because I just think it's human nature. And I know the history. I've read, the Dr. Claude Anderson books, and he breaks it down. Like when I see, I'm like, oh, so they've hated us for 400 years. Now I know why they treat us like this, and so in hindsight, that's what I would have done, because the beauty of it is, once you get past this idea that they love you, and you start realizing that what matters is that you have to love yourself and love each other, then you can get to the business of really doing business and moving forward with an understanding of what your opportunities are and your limitations are, and you can apply your energy in the right way. So if I am a black man and I say, I'm 21 years old, and I realize, okay, you know what? They probably will never see my true value. They'll probably never give me what I'm truly worth for the work that I do, and the energy I put in. But I can get my value. I can extract my value. I just have to pick up a different skill set. I'm not a white boy. I'm not white. I'm going to have to learn things that maybe I wouldn't have to learn if I was white, and had a fully developed economic ecosystem ready to receive me and to reward me for the work that I put in. Right. That's the difference. And so that to me would limit a lot of frustration. Also, the beauty of it is, if you master those specific skills at an early age, the sky's the limit at that point. You then have that possibility that maybe you run across a business idea with your homeboys that generates $1 million a month, and you guys are literally living at the highest heights of society, because you didn't get on the crowded freeway, you drove on the side streets where it's wide open. Do you understand? Or maybe your consciousness caused you to elevate, right? I was telling you that about like getting in an airplane, and you go, instead of operating in 2 dimensions where you have limited numbers of dimensionality, limited possibilities for yourself, you rise up to that next dimension, where now you're in a helicopter or an airplane and you can fly over the traffic. And what I found was that when I went the unbeaten path, see, a lot of us are scared. We're scared to try something different. We're scared to do something different from what everybody else is doing. We're scared to do something different from what we were trained to do. When I went off the unbeaten path, I found that there was no competition. When I first started doing what I was doing, I didn't have any competition. There was no other black finance PhD that was actually as passionate about black wealth as I was. I was literally out there all by myself. All by myself. And even to this day, I still am. Now fortunately, there's a lot of, my dream was to see more black men really embracing economics. And now we have that. Now we have InvestFest and all that. And I love all that. I love to see us talking about generational wealth as if that is the standard now. But it wasn't the standard in 2006, 2007. It was, I was sort of doing this thing by myself. And the hard part is that you don't have a blueprint. You don't have a lot of support. People don't really understand what you're doing or why or how or anything like that. But I was like, you know what? I'll just make them understand. I'll help them understand why Black people have to realize that it's our economics that's really keeping us where we are. That if we nail this investing thing, if we nail this wealth thing, that's going to solve a lot of our problems. It's going to take us out of that loop of frustration that so many of us feel. Where we do the same thing. We go to school, work hard on our jobs. We work hard in school. We show up and we vote every election. Think about this. You do everything right. You're not breaking the law. You are working your ass off on that job. You went to school and got whatever degrees you thought you needed to have. You then, when they tell you to get up and vote, you go out and vote, and then, but then nothing's really changing, and you're still frustrated, right? So that clearly states that whatever we're doing is not working, and I think it's not working because we're working within a system. And I don't think that system is the system's kind of designed to keep you at a certain level. And I kind of want to bust out of that. And so that means that being radical is kind of expected. That's something that you have to do. You have to either create alternative systems, tear down the existing systems, whatever it's going to take. I don't necessarily think we need to tear down American capitalism to be successful, though. I think that we can just build alternative economic systems that allow us to support each other, that will help us to become more successful. And it's not just about being successful, it's also about being free. So success and freedom are kind of linked though, right? Because if I'm economically successful, then I'm not beholden to the people who are providing for me economically. You can't really go that far in America as a Black man if the white man is always your economic daddy. That's just the reality. That's just and people just, I don't know how people feel about that. I think that when I talk like that, it jars people and people think, oh, you're a racist and you're mean. And no, it's just I just don't see that. I don't really think, because your daddy don't love you. Your daddy loves himself, and your daddy is he's been beating up on you for like 400 years. He doesn't really want your men to run around here all masculine and stuff. That's a threat. That's very scary for him. He needs your men to be either weak or exterminated. They're beaten down or gone. One or the other. Either he has to be submissive and a beta or a woman, or he has to be in prison, or we got to kill him. One of those that if you think about this, look at the outcomes of the Black male in America. Look at what happens, especially when we start with the school system in terms of how Black boys are educated and all that. They're kept dumb as hell. They're not really pushed to excel and to be critical free thinkers. They come out where 70 some percent of them can't even read or write or do math at grade level. Right. And then it's like, well, yeah, and then you have this sort of energy that's sort of pushing them toward specific areas, right? Specific ghettos, almost like what we call the ghettoization of black professionals, right? Where it's like, yeah, go over here and be a rapper, go over here and be a basketball player, or you can go over and be a thug, a street guy, or something like that. But these other professions over here, these are not for you. These are not for you. Right. And so effectively, when I look around and most of us know people in this category, you either have a guy that comes out of high school without any skills to be successful anyway, even if he wanted to be, right? Because he doesn't have the reading, writing, or math skill to even compete with people from around the world, people from Asia and India and all these people competing for the best jobs in society. So a lot of times he doesn't have the skill set, or he's distracted by bad culture. He's off running around chasing women, getting high and drunk, or whatever, doing whatever his favorite rapper told him to do. Or if he's too radical, he'll be marginalized or incarcerated, and in some cases killed. Perhaps through even things as insidious as what they might call Planned Parenthood. I'm not saying, again, I'm not telling you what your politics needs to be about that. I can just say though that my mother was told to abort me, and it wasn't for any reason other than the fact that she didn't have a lot of money, right? And I just thought that was really interesting that it wasn't that she would have been an unfit mom. I mean, she got trained to be a mother and she did a great job. It was literally due to money, right? So if you tell every single poor single mother, like, hey, you just need to go ahead and get rid of this baby, then you're going to get rid of a lot of babies because we don't have a whole lot of money. There's a lot of babies that are born without money all around the world, and their mothers, and I think so it's not really about what the decision is and something like that bothers me. It's more so like, why did you make that decision? Is money literally the only reason that you're deciding whether or not your seed gets to live or die? I would encourage people to think a little deeper than that, because I don't think money should decide life or death. Not whether you're talking about a newborn baby or you're talking about even, somebody who can't afford their medication, right? This is what capitalism does. Capitalism says, well, if you can't afford to buy medicine, then you should be dead. And that's just not healthy. That's not a good thing, right? We shouldn't have a society where we're told that not having enough money means you don't get to live. Life should be a basic human right. And so anyway, with that being said, though, I will say that if you have a black boy, especially, and you want your black boy to reach his fullest potential, that's really going to have to be your job. You're going to have to sort of take him off the track a little bit and kind of give him the real deal, the real conversation. You can even bring him to my class, and you know me, I'm gonna give him the real deal and really tell him how America really works. Because I think that when we are given a fantasy about how America is supposed to work, we end up getting our feelings hurt. We end up angry. Right? Give me a guess if you've seen that. Give me a guess if you have felt this yourself. Have you ever felt angry because the so-called American dream didn't show up the way you thought it would? Give me a guess if you've ever been angry, maybe because you were discriminated against. You didn't get the job that you should have gotten, even though you worked just as hard as the white girl and y'all applied for the same job and she got the job and you didn't, or maybe somebody got the less qualified, got a promotion you deserved, just whatever, right? You get mad, you get really mad. And I think and that's what happens when somebody feeds you a fantasy from birth, and then you get into the real world and you think the fantasy will apply. Then you're gonna be pissed. You're gonna be like, damn, like you ain't doing this, you're not doing it the way you're supposed to do it. I think that happens a lot in relationships, to be honest with you. I think that we give people this fantasy about marriage, like, oh, everything's gonna be wonderful and everybody's gonna always treat each other right, and women are always gonna be sweet and loving, and men will never cheat and whatever, right? And then things happen and people are like, you broke my heart. That was terrible. And but I grew up in a family where I watched my parents fight through 50 years. This is their 50-year wedding anniversary in October. Next month is their 50-year wedding anniversary. And it wasn't no fantasy involved in getting through that 50 years. It was almost like when I ran my first marathon. I thought that running your first marathon would feel really good and you'd be strong and you'd be moving through and you'd smile across the finish line. That was not the reality. It was horrible. I think I wanted to just shoot myself after mile 7. It was the most excruciating, terrible experience ever. Me and my wife were fighting in that race because she's like, come on, Boyce, run faster. I was like, I'm not running faster. Just be happy that I didn't stop running because I hate this shit, right? So running the marathon, I got a picture. I look happy. Like it looks like a beautiful day, but it was terrible. It was one of the worst days of my life. But I did it, right? I did it. Now I get to be proud that I made it, but there was no fantasy involved in accomplishing that. And I think that that's just true in general. Like, the fantasies don't work. The racial fantasies don't exist. I think that the best thing a kid can do is to really be trained to see America for what it is and not America for what it's supposed to be or what they were taught that it is in school. And I think that you're the best. That's why I think you're the best teacher for that black child. You should be talking to that boy and helping him understand, like, look, son, if you ain't got no money, a lot of these women ain't gonna respect you. I believe that. I'm sorry. Forgive me if I disrupt your sensibilities or offend anyone by saying this. I think a lot of women have a hard time respecting a man who either isn't providing anything or it isn't trying, right? I think it's the trying part that really bothers a lot of women too. I just think that men and women are different. And I know that we want to do our best to have this gender neutral society. But if you read any biology book ever written in the history of all mankind, 99% of them will tell you that men and women are just so different. We are just, it's like a Tesla and a hamburger. Like they are two different things, two different machines, and they operate differently. And I think honesty is better than having someone sort of think that things are supposed to work the way they work in a textbook. In fact, that it goes to the highest levels. Even a lot of professors, again, in business schools, can't run a business because they know what's in the book, but they don't know what's in the world. And I think that the world itself is a giant textbook, and I think that's the best place for young people to be taught. And if you teach them that in the right way, then what you can do is you can kill off the fantasy and then help them get fixated on understanding the reality. And at first, it's a little cynical. It hurts their feelings and makes them sad a little bit. But then once you get past that, you start to open up tremendous possibility because they're operating not based on the way things should work, but on the way things actually do work. And I can tell you, once I kind of grabbed onto that, things, it was very easy to kind of get a lot of things done. I knew who not to depend on. I knew that a lot of the hard work was going to have to be done by myself. I knew that even a lot of black people aren't going to really support what I'm doing until they see that it's actually working. Then people tend to get on board with things that are actually working. And so anyway, one thing I want to mention really quickly too, before I forget, is here's another thought that I had this morning. I wanted to make this recommendation for anybody that wants to be economically successful. I'm really super convinced today, and I got to bring my wife in this week so she can help reaffirm this. I think that a lot of your economic possibilities are limited by the fact that so few people actually take the time to get some type of therapy or some type of training in therapeutic techniques. And why do I say this? Well, because I thought about this. Let's just start with just relationships. We talked about how healthy relationships are conducive to economic success. And it's as simple as realizing that life is easier when you have teammates. If you have a teammate and you're accomplishing the same goal and you can stay on the same page, you're going to be more effective than an individual trying to do it by themselves. For example, when I told you I play Call of Duty with my homeboys sometimes on my YouTube channel, one way that we beat up that we're able to beat all these crazy 12-year-olds and stuff that are on the game is because we do one basic thing. We stick together. We work together as a team. So the kids are better than us. They're fast. There's something about getting older where you're not as quick with your thumbs and stuff. But so the kids are fast and they're really good and they come in and they can kill everything, but they can't beat four people against one. Like when we all work together, we're like, okay, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, he's dead, and you keep going. It's really sad though that you got these little kids playing these violent games. It's so terrible. Anyway, but with that point, my point is to say that that we know that healthy relationships impact your economic outcomes. Give me a yes if that point is made and you understand this, and if you agree with me that a person that has healthy relationships with others is going to do better financially than somebody who's not. A wife who has a husband is on average going to have a better economic outcome than a wife without a good husband, right? A man who can work with other people on a business is going to be more successful than a person who is the solo asshole who just alienates everyone and doesn't work with other people and tries to do it all by himself or herself. Give me a yes if you understand that. Okay, so given that that's true, here's what I thought about today. It's a subtle point, and I want to make sure I make it clearly because it can almost sound like something I've said before, but it's deeper because I literally had this epiphany on this today. Your mental health is deeply connected to your ability to just get along with other people. And I was actually thinking about myself and how to better who I am. And I thought about times. Let me know if you let's have a confessional real quick. How many of you have ever had a situation where you burned a bridge with a person because you were overly emotional? How many of you maybe have a relationship that you think about a long time ago, maybe some girl you loved and y'all had a bad day and you said something you could never take back, or maybe you had a friend and your feelings were hurt, and because your feelings were hurt, you ended that friendship and you've regretted it ever since. Or maybe you've been in business with someone and something went wrong, and because you didn't know how to deal with it and your emotions got elevated, you made a drastic move where you're like, damn, if I could have really thought about that, I wouldn't have done that. Right. And well, here's what I want you. Okay, so here's what I want you to understand is that kind of compulsive thinking, that kind of highly charged emotional reaction, number one, it happens much more frequently in heavily traumatized people. Heavily traumatized people, once they're in the middle of the trauma, it's almost like being emotionally drunk, and you just kind of go off. And maybe again, deep down, it might be because you are dealing with your fear of abandonment because your dad left when you were 5, or your mother never loved you, so when that woman acts like she's gonna leave or is mean to you, it just triggers you or whatever. And or maybe you alienate yourself because you don't like rejection or whatever it is, right? I think everybody's got these like weird little scars from childhood and stuff, and it can cause you to just overreact to stuff where you like, No, well, no free is it? Because really, that's your inner child kind of reacting to something that you're experiencing in adulthood. And children shouldn't be making important decisions in your life. You shouldn't. A child, your decisions are not going to be good ones if they're being made by a child. But that's what happens in my. Again, I'm being an armchair psychologist here. My wife is the one who really studies psychology. But that's what I realized. I said sometimes, man, sometimes Boyce the child is the one that's reacting to what happened to Boyce the man. And Boyce the child doesn't make good decisions for Boyce. He doesn't. When Boyce the child makes a decision, he'll cut his arm off to spite his face, or whatever they say, cut your nose off to spite your face, right? He'll burn a bridge, or he'll end a relationship when that where it's really something that's not that big of a deal, or something that could have been worked through. And I don't want the child making decisions for me, because the child makes crappy decisions. The child makes really bad economic decisions. Did you know most studies show pretty much that most of your spending decisions are very emotional. The child does not make good business decisions. The child does not make good decisions as a husband. You get your feelings hurt in marriage. You get your feelings hurt a lot in marriage. And you have to know how to process that. So here's my point. Here's what I'm proposing to you to consider. I think that those who work deliberately on emotional intelligence and emotional maturity are gonna do better in every area of life, particularly in their economics. Because what emotional maturity will help you do is when you find yourself being triggered, you can identify when the trigger has occurred, and you will be able to use therapeutic techniques to work yourself through it so that you don't blow up the building. Do you understand what I'm saying? And the more traumatized you are, the more you need these techniques. And this is what therapists can do for you. Therapists can show you basic things like deep breathing, like how to stop, like when you're about to say something crazy, how to stop, walk away, take some deep breaths, and spend some time processing it. I can tell you, every marriage has its rough days, and if I get really mad at my wife and I'm in my right mind, when Boyce the child is not in the building and he's not making the decision, and Boyce the adult is there, Boyce the adult will have a reaction and realize, okay, I'm about to say something that I can't take back, and I love this woman and I just don't realize it right now. So I'm gonna literally stop talking to you right now so that I can go and process this, and then we're going to talk about it later when I'm a little calmer. And almost every single time, the way I respond is different once I've had a little bit of time to separate myself from the high energy, the high cortisol levels associated with whatever we were dealing with in that moment. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? And because here's what does happen though, is that people that want to extract things from you, whether it's a politician trying to get your vote, or a corporation trying to get your dollars, or whatever it is, they're trying to get you in that emotional state. They're trying to jab a knife right into your vulnerabilities. They're pouring salt on your childhood wounds to get you to have that emotional reaction, which will lead you to get up off of that money, to get up off of that whatever. Like so, if you listen to a lot of politicians telling you who you should vote for and why, they love to use fear. They love to scare the hell out of you, and I think they're tapping into something that's going to lead you to make an emotional decision. So I would say to you that if you can manage your triggers, I found that really goes a long way to being able to be successful in every area of life. There's a book out there. I haven't read the whole thing. I read some of it though. I think it's called The Four Agreements or something. And I like that book because it kind of introduces very simple ideas that that I kind of like. One of them I liked in that book was something like don't make assumptions, like so someone has a reaction or something to something, and you assume like, oh, you did that because you don't like me, or because you're jealous, or because you're mad at me, or whatever. And it's basically saying like, stop making assumptions, like just stop assuming that it's all about you, and that they did that because of something that's wrong with you. Maybe you can take some time and go find out what's going on, or don't make any assumptions at all. So let me give you some quick pointers on how therapy can help you in terms of financial decisions. First of all, there's a study in the Journal of Economic Psychology that found that emotional distress is closely linked to impulsive buying behaviors. By addressing underlying emotional issues in therapy, you can reduce your financially destructive habits. Also, therapy can improve your decision making under stress. So a lot of times when you get into a conflict or get into an argument, when you are under that kind of stress, it can cause you to destroy a relationship that might have been beneficial to you financially or whatever the case may be. I've used examples of like music groups that are making lots of money together, but one day they just have a big argument, and next thing you know, this person isn't talking to that person, and they can't reconcile because there's no desire to reconcile. So the Journal of Psychology and Aging shows that individuals under stress tend to make riskier financial decisions. So therapy can teach techniques like mindfulness and cognitive reframing, which improve decision making under high stress situations. Also, therapy can improve communication and conflict resolution. That's a big one. A lot of us end up alone, struggling by ourselves because when something does go wrong in a relationship, we don't have that ability to communicate and resolve conflicts. That's why I believe the Nation of Islam is a great group for us to learn from, because I know for a fact, I've never actually explicitly asked anybody. I think I kind of casually asked about it, but I have no doubt that they have a protocol for how they handle conflicts and disputes. Then the protocol is critical because it can help avoid situations where gossip or bad feelings or somebody's feelings being hurt can destroy a relationship. You get together, you talk about it, you work it out, you figure out what's going on, and then you kind of form your conclusions from that. And so the study of the Journal of Marriage and Family found that couples who engaged in therapy reported better financial communication and reduced conflict over money, which led to greater financial stability. Also, therapy can help you build confidence and reduce your financial anxiety. A study in the Journal of Anxiety Disorders highlights how therapy, particularly through interventions like exposure therapy, we talked about exposure earlier, and CBT, can reduce financial anxiety, allowing people to take more calculated risks in investing and decision making. And that's true. When you talk about investing, risk is not the devil. Risk is fine, but it's got to be a calculated risk. It can't be a sloppy risk. And last but not least, the Journal of Positive Psychology found that individuals who engage in therapy have clarity and purpose in setting life goals, including financial ones. This clarity helps people make better economic choices that align with their broader life vision. So we talked about that before, living with purpose, knowing what your why is. If you don't know what your why is, like why you're doing this, like why are you coming to class every day? Why are you trying to level up financially? Why? When you figure out your why just drives you every day. And even I sit down, I'm like, well, why am I doing this? What is this for? And I have to be really clear about it, because that's what's going to keep you focused. That becomes your North Star in the darkness, right? If you know your why, and you have clarity of purpose, then when you're in the darkness and things aren't going right, or you don't know what to do next, you look at the North Star and say, okay, that's the direction I need to go. And most studies show that this seeps into your subconscious to the point where you find yourself heading toward the North Star, even when you aren't thinking about it all the time. Okay, so find your North Star, figure out your why, find your purpose, and that'll make a big difference. Also, consider therapy. I think therapy is valuable. It's powerful. My wife actually, if you go to my Instagram, Dr. Boyce Finance, I shared a video my wife put up. She wasn't talking about particularly this particular topic. I'm going to bring her in very soon to have her talk about this, but she was actually talking about even relationships and books that she read that she believes are like among the top 3 or 4 books that you'd want to look at if you want to have healthy relationships with other people. You want to have better relationships with your children, with your spouse, with your friends, with your business partners, with the people on the street. So feel free to go to Dr. Boyce Finance. That's my Instagram. And I put the video up there, and she lists the 3 books. Also, I should shout out her website if you ever wanted to meet her and talk to her directly. It's coachingwithdralicia.com. That's coachingwithdralicia.com. Okay, guys. So anyway, I'm going to bounce out. And again, if you want to join us today at noon for our stock options income introduction class, feel free to do that. I'll share the link if you want to do a $1 trial in the Prime program. The $1 trial, we can't leave that open for long. It's open only until tomorrow at midnight, actually. But after that, now it's $3.99 per month. So make sure you understand that part. And you could try it out for $1 and see if you like it. And if you like it, you can stay. If you don't like it, that's okay too. And so there's the link right there. I'm gonna put this in the chat. And also what I'll do is I'll text out the $1 trial link
today, if you want to get on the text list, text the word morning to the number 87948. Text morning to 87948. I'm gonna send that link out in about 30 minutes or so, and you guys can do the dollar trial if you want to join us today at noon. And then I'll send out another link where you can actually come into the Zoom. So just be ready to get some text messages from me today. So I hope that's okay. Now I'm gonna say 39. No, not 390. Sorry, 399 is 399. It's not $3.99. So thank you, Robert, for clearing that. Yeah, $3.99 per month. So anyway, and you can look around and see comparable stuff out there and see if you how this compares for you. All right, guys. So I'm gonna get out of here. Have a good day. God bless you, and I'll see you today at noon, or I'll see you tomorrow morning as well. And